Seconds. Well, hi there and welcome along to our live What's the Word Cheltenham preview here at Racing Post HQ. This evening in association with Ladbrokes, joined by a star panel for you tonight who provide us with lots of wit, wisdom and of course crucially winners as well ahead of those crucial few days in March. Looking forward to it. So we start in the end. Gavin Lynch joins it. How are you, Gavin? You all right?
Tom, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. You're okay with missing the Liverpool match to sit in on this for next 90 minutes, yeah?
We'll get the half-time score, please.
Okay. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the live score pop-ups. Nicola McGeady from Ladbrokes as well. How are you, Nicola?
Good. Hoping to see turnover go through the roof tonight now with all the tips you guys provide.
Absolutely guaranteed. Patrick Mullins joins as well. How are you, Patrick? You well?
Great, Tom. Yeah, after enjoying a couple of Krispy Kremes there, so
ready. I feel like your mind's been opened by Krispy Kremes.
I mean, it's a life-changing experience.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Probably some better news than you had earlier on today with Penn Hill.
Yeah, disappointing, but it's that time of year and something always goes west, and unfortunately he was probably going to be top of the list. He's very fragile, as Willie said before.
Yeah, that's a real shame. Our Irish editor, Richie Forrester, joins as well. How are you, Richie? Well?
Good, thanks. I think the Krispy Kremes ruled out any prospect of Patrick riding blue sari in the bumper, unfortunately.
Oh dear. 4-year-olds, yeah. And Andy Helding, pro punter, and Conway as well, Sporting Lad, joins us too. So how are you, Andy? You looking forward to this? Is this your first time over?
It is, yeah. I'm very honoured to be here, and hopefully can come up with at least one decent bit of words of wisdom anyway along the way.
Good stuff. Well, as lots of winners as well, we got a super prize for you tonight too. So listen to this. It's 2 tickets for Gold Cup Day, club enclosure tickets as well, not just the ordinaries, club enclosure ones, good ones. We got a annual subscription as well, the ultimate subscription to the Racing Post, and of course one of these Cheltenham Festival guides as well, the Racing Post one. So looking forward to that. Make sure you get involved. It's hashtag WTW Live. On all the social channels if you do want to get involved. So that's pretty standard. I guess we'll just start with the Supreme, Nicola.
Yeah.
It's a good place to start. How do we bet in this?
Well, Al Dancer is our 5-2 favourite, but actually Angel's Breath is the worst result for us in the anti-post book. He was obviously beaten at Kempton at the weekend, but the vibes were that they weren't actually overly disappointed and that he's still going to be a big player. Obviously, I think the money for Angel's Breath came before that defeat, but still, it's the worst result, and now 6-1 from 10-1. Fakir Dudaries is a bad result too, and is in there at 4-1 second favourite. But yeah, Angel's Breath, the one that we're running scared from.
Patrick, we kind of associate this race with a big Clis Sutton runner, probably Armon and Classical Dream, your best two at the moment, but maybe not at the level of sort of, the Mins and all of this world we had in the past.
Yeah, maybe not
exactly.
Maybe not yet the excitement of a Voto or a Duvan, but 2 good horses nonetheless. Classical Dream has been a revelation since he came. He'd had a lot of experience in France. He won his maiden hurdle very well, and it was a big shout by Ruby to choose him over the Grade 1 winner Aramon at Christmas or at the Dublin Racing Festival, and it was tight. I think, to be honest, I think
the penalty was the difference between the two ultimately on the day.
No, I thought to be honest, I thought Aramon was probably the best horse in the race. I thought he threw it away. He was just hanging. You could see from the top of the straight, he's hanging left on Paul. And I thought if he'd ran straight, he probably would have won. And the way we looked at it afterwards was Classical Dream looked like he stayed the best, and Aramon looked like he might be the slightly quicker of the two.
Will those two run?
Classical Dream has the option of going for the Ballymore over 2.25.
Yeah.
Aramon looks like 2 miles is his trip. So while nothing's been decided, that's the kind of thinking at the moment.
Good stuff. And who do you think were either to go and line up? Who are the ones you'd be most concerned against you?
Well, look, the obvious one is Al Dancer. He was very impressive in that handicap hurdle. I know he's a keen going sort. He might be one to see what he's like down at the start before you back him, perhaps. He wears a hood. I'm not so sure about this Fakir Dudaries. I mean, his form in France was a long way below what it is now. He won an average race in Cork, and suddenly he bolts up semi-fancied in Cheltenham, and suddenly he's I'm just not convinced yet. I'd like to see more from him.
Yeah, fair enough. Andy, what are your thoughts on the Supreme?
I definitely think it's a below par renewal, certainly anyway on paper beforehand. I do respect Al Dancer. I thought he got away with a tactically run affair the other day at Ascot. I think everyone's made a point of that. It's been well documented. He had to be in the first 2 or 3. I thought Getaway Trump was the best of the ones that were held up off the pace. So he had the luxury of having an advantage that day. Looking at his time figures in comparison with Elixir de Nez when they ran on the same course and distance back at Cheltenham early on in the season, he was roughly about a 15 length better horse on the final circuit than Elixir de Nuts.
Okay.
So he's run really quickly around Cheltenham. I mean, actually, he's top of my figures English-wise. Now, normally I've got like a benchmark or of a number which is usually the barometer for a Supreme Novices horse. Around about 75 on my speed figures. Nothing's got anywhere near that this year.
Oh, okay.
So it is a below par average. That doesn't mean to say nothing can run beyond that, but at the moment nothing's run at a championship level of previous winners going into the race. So that tells me, like I say, it is slightly under the radar. The one that has produced the fastest time is the juvenile, Fakir Duduris.
Yeah.
Patrick said he's not too sure about him. Well, his number that he clocked at Cheltenham certainly suggests to me that he's worthy of taking his part in this race if he does run. I presume he will run here.
Yeah.
Not sure JP would want to rerun him or wasting another bullet when he's got
against
Eric at a short price value. I think he's bought that with a view perhaps to run him in the first race. And although juveniles haven't got an amazing record in the Supreme because they haven't had that many opportunities. Ordevoir, of course, won it back in '99, and Binocular went very close a few years ago. I think he's the one with the most untapped potential. He likes to race handy, which is another important point to make about the Supreme. You have to be up there or thereabouts, right? And it usually goes to a stayer.
Yeah.
Which, based on my numbers at Cheltenham when he won early on in the year, he's very much a stayer. So I think he's the one if he does line up.
So you're very much in the Fakir Duduris camp.
He's the quickest horse I've got so far this season. Juveniles or novices. I think he'd win the Triumph Hurdle if he was in there, put it that way.
Fair enough. Richie, what about you? Were you with the 4-year-old here, or you find something else?
No, I'd be a little bit inclined to go with Patrick's view on him. Not entirely convinced about his form. Interesting in relation to the two Mullins horses. They've both run 6 and 7 times. Experience tends to be critical in this race. 9 of the last 10 have run 4 times or more, and the other one was LeBake, who'd run 3 times, and he refused to race twice. He was a law to himself anyway.
Different world.
So I mean, Al Dancer is the one for me, to be honest. He carried more weight to win the Betfair Hurdle than any horse had done for 50 years. Persian War was the last one to carry. He carried 11.8. Persian War was the last one to carry that sort, upwards of that sort of weight and win. And he won Champion Hurdle the same year. He's keen. You know, a strongly run Supreme should suit him, I think. But I don't think Sam Twiston-Davies has had any great difficulty settling him. He'll get him buried in. I think he's probably the best horse in the race, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. Gav, who are you with in Spring?
Fakir Duduris, same as Andy.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a big gallop on in this race. Felix, Deji and Elixir de Nuts have both said they're going to make the running. So I think a fast gallop will suit Fakir Duduris. Had 5 runs in France in a bumper, 2 over hurdles and 2 over fences. So the fact that he's only 4, he's had 7 runs. So gets the £8. I think it's an average Supreme. I think that, as Andy said, the race that Al Dancer won the last day, there was only 14 in it because some of the horses missed with the vaccinations.
Yeah.
The second and third aren't superstars. It won off 141. It was a good run. I just think that Fakir Duduris getting the weight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. Right, let's move on to the second race of the festival, the Racing Post Arkle Chase. Obviously, the race is just cut up a little bit. Obviously lost Chiles Emery, unfortunately, Patrick. We lost Larichburg during the week as well. Or is Chiles Emery confirmed, ruled out? I mean
no, we're still on tetherhooks with him.
Okay. How did they bet, Nicola?
Yeah, well, obviously, as you said, a little bit of a messy race with Larichburg out. Now it's between Lawler and Defu de Sol fighting for favouritism, both now 11-4. Lawler's been the worst result anti-post for us off. And I suppose he runs his best off the back of a break. He's a natural jumper, and Connections sang his praises after Exeter the Gallop recently on the racecourse. But that could all change because the money is coming in for Defu de Sol since we went non-runner, no bet. He could still go for the JLT, but I think the vibes feel he's going to be rerouted here to this race, and if he does, I'd say he'll be shorter than the 11-4 on offer. Glenforsa then's next best at 9-2.
Good stuff. Patrick, will Duc de Genève line up in this then? Will that be or would he go for further perhaps?
Well, he obviously won over further last day, but he's
not in the JLT, is he?
Is he not?
Am I mistaken?
I feel like my father now.
I have a feeling he's not in the JLT. I was surprised. Look, I might
possibly
be wrong,
not.
but I think
Possibly
he's not.
not. Yeah, I might have got a hold of his entry with like Ballymore, but he raced very keenly the last day.
Yeah.
You know, so you probably think dropping back in trip might be more beneficial to him because you know, it was it wasn't a married man's ride the last day for Paul anyway. You know, he's a horse we thought a lot of. He was just below top class as a Grade 1 novice hurdler. He does look more of a chaser. He jumped very well in Goran. Possibly got led away by the others, but like you said, it's a wide open race. You know, maybe in a normal year you wouldn't fancy him, but I think everything that gets there with and just keeps breeding. He's got a chance this year.
Absolutely. Question marks over the top couple. I mean, Lawler, Gavin, is he a worthy favourite this race, or is just kind of favoured by default?
Probably favoured by default because of a few non-owners, but I just think that the Irish in this are very ordinary. I can't see Ireland winning this race. Duke de Geneva, sorry Patrick, Paloma Blue, Ornua, Hardline, Articulum, us and them, I think they're much for muchness. They wouldn't have been near our best if the other two didn't get injured. So I think it's between Lawler and Glen Forza. I think Defi Desai will probably stay with the JLT. Why wouldn't he? He's been beaten over 2 miles this season, whereas he's won over 2.5. So I think he'll stay with the JLT. I think punters should back one and save in the other, Lawler, Glen Forza. It's interesting that he won his beginner's chase, or his first chase, over 3 miles in Chepstow. Then he won over 2.5 and won over 2, and now he's in the Arkle. Lawler was very impressive first time out, then ran very poorly in Sandown. So maybe Lawler, but I think Ireland won't be winning this.
Yeah, okay. Andy, what are your figures saying about this race?
Yeah, this lot are a decent bunch, even though we've lost quite a few. I've got one piece of evidence to say Lilo was very top class, of course, when he won at Cheltenham first time up. Beat a good field that day. Beat Dynamite Dollars, of course, who's probably the benchmark with collateral form, involving quite a few others. He ties in quite a few. He was really good that day. First time out, good ground. They went a good pace, and he picked up really well. I mean, he absolutely battered Defi Desai. I mean, if you look at that race there, how on earth can Defi Desai be the same price? I'm in agreement with Gavin. I think he should be running in the 2.5. Why would you want to change tack when that's been his race all year? He's quite clearly improved for a step up in trip when they could settle him better, and that extra distance suits him. So 11-4 out of those two, it's a no-brainer for me. I'll go with Layla, but I do think Glen Force he's become a real dangerous floater here. Yeah,
he's just really developed nicely over the course of this season.
Yeah, he clocked a very good time at Kempton on Boxing Day, or maybe the day after, and straight away I was alerted to him. I didn't really know what route they were going to go down, but I thought they might go down the Mr. Whittaker route, same connections. And I think they were half campaigning for the Close brothers, but I got a mole in that yard, and they told me that the Arkle was always going to be the plan. That's why they ran him at Sandown.
That's some quality stuff, Andy. You got mole in the yard.
Well, I got a mole who drinks with the trainer's son, if that counts. And he's
totally exposed now.
He was adamant that the Arkle was going to be the race, and I think they're proven right. I mean, he clocked a very good time the other day when he beat Kalashnikov. A lot of people thought Kalashnikov was under par, but he ran an extraordinary last circuit. He was about 5 seconds quicker than Not Another Muddle in the older horse handicap, which is always a good guide when the novices run as well as the handicappers. It's going to be an interesting battle for the lead. Nobody's talked about the pace here, but Ornag does go right rip from the front. I mean, he served a strong pace up in the Henry VIII when he got everything off the board apart from Dynamite Dollars. Of course, Layla was well beat that day, so strictly on that form, Ornag is very much under the radar here. Trained by Henry de Bromhead, of course, has won it with size in Europe. He's not one to dismiss at a big price, but he would probably want better ground on there to be absolutely at his best. Whereas Glen Force, I think, can handle anything. He's won on good, he's won on soft, and I think if connections ride him properly, Glen Force, in behind the likely front runner Ornea, he might have that extra stamina because he stays 2.5 to pick them off. So I think Layla, based on his Cheltenham run, is the right favourite. I don't fancy Defi Desai over 2 miles, but I'd certainly look at backing Glen Force and perhaps Ornea. Away from the front end of the market.
Who would you be with here, Richie?
Yeah, I'd echo what the two boys have said. I'd like Glen Forza. It's a pity to lose the 2 Grade 1 winning horses. They've won 3 Grade 1s between them this year, Dynamite Dollars and Larichburg. That takes an awful lot from an Arkle. I like Glen Forza. You'd have to like the way he's come down, and he had Kalashnikov at it all the way at Sandown. I know people are saying that Kalashnikov maybe didn't run his race. I suspect he didn't run his race because Glen Forza didn't allow him. You had him on it the whole way around Sandown, over 1 mile and 7 and a bit as well. I mean, he's obviously not short of gears. Lawler back left-handed is going to be interesting. I'd echo also what Andy says in relation to Ornua and Paloma Blue. I think Henry de Bromheads are going to come in here, both of them a bit under the radar. If he runs they may be tempted to run Paloma Blue in the JLT. I'm not sure.
Are we going to have to call David Janu here to just get a word on Paloma Blue? He's the biggest fan.
But he is a horse with untapped potential, and if his jumping improves again from Leopardstown, he would be interesting. I suspect they might on good ground want to run him in the JLT, but because this is turning into such a weak renewal, they might be tempted to run him in this.
Gavin, I'm going to give you a word on Paloma Blue. You're not a massive fan, I don't think.
His jumping is not good enough. One thing, as Andy said, there's actually 6 horses that have made the running, and won Vida Rev, Paloma Blue, Ornua, Glen Forza, Duke de Geneva and Articulum. So they always go too quick in the Supreme, they go too quick in the Arkle. They're going to go a right clip here, which could help Glenn Forza, who stays very well, as we said, and also it'll suit Lawler. So.
Good stuff. Well, hope we'll keep a good pace going as well. We're going to look at the Champion Hurdle, the Unibet Champion Hurdle, in a few moments' time. Just a reminder about that competition as well. If you want to get involved, use the hashtag WTWLive on all the social channels, and you can send in your questions and comments as well if you want to get involved. But to win that, so it's ultimate subscription to the Racing Post annual membership, 2 of those club tickets for Gold Cup Day, and also the Racing Post Cheltenham Festival guide as well. So brilliant prize, worth well over a monkey, that lot. So a serious prize on offer there. Just use the hashtag WTWLive. Before we move to the Champion Hurdle, Nicola, how do we bet for this?
Well, Belvedere is the one they all have to beat and is our favourite at 13-8, going for 3 in a row now. Obviously, they said last year he didn't run to his very best, but still got the job done. He'll have probably be better this year, especially with Apple's Jade in there at 15-8. But punters aren't biting. Apple's Jade hasn't been backed.
Not biting
and
No.
I didn't want to use that one. I didn't, but I'll leave you to
Gavin's
it.
not one to turn down a dad joke. Look, he's never going to turn down a dad joke.
In fact, it's Lorena that's been well backed, but I'm sure Patrick can give us some views on that.
Yeah, so well, Patrick, take it up on Lorena. When will she take it up? Around 2 out? Go on, win it,
yeah.
No problem.
Look, she's an unopened treasure chest. We don't know how good she is. Like at home, if we got 50 horses out in the gallop, and she's the one to take your eye straight away. She's a bit like Casta Semenya. I think she's or Venus Three Williams. She stands out. She's not your typical lady. She's a big, strong mare. She's bigger than most of the geldings. I'm not sure I can remember a champion hurdle winner who looked like her. Although they do say Dawn Rum was bigger than all the geldings as well. We don't know how good she is, but we think she is special. I think the race is going to be run to suit. Apple's Jade and maybe Global Citizen. Charlie Parks will probably be hassling the front runner like he was with Foyeen last year. So it's a strong pace guaranteed. I think that'll suit Apple's Jade. It'll also suit Lorena, and they'll obviously have the ground well watered. So it's not going to be a quick 2 miles. It'll take a lot of stamina, and that's going to fall into her kind of alleyway.
Word on Mellon, how's he been? I mean, he's been disappointing obviously this year. Is he okay? How do you feel about him coming into this race?
He's been a hugely frustrating horse. Obviously he was only touched off last year, which is the kind of horse you thought he was. He was second in the Supreme the year before, but he just hasn't got his head in front an awful lot. He was disappointing at Christmas, and then I know Niall Kelly, who used to ride him out, ended up going up to do National Stud Course. He got a new rider on him at home, and he disappointed at Cheltenham, or at the Dublin Race Festival. Perhaps that had something to do with it. I see he's marked up lower than Sharjah. I hope Paul Town is looking at that. Look, he's been in Cheltenham twice, been second twice, so maybe he saves his best for there, and you'd have to take him seriously, but there's no denying he's been below his best this year.
And Sharjah, what a star he's been for you, in particularly this year. But what will he go there, and how's he?
Yeah, he's in great form. Eilish Byrne rides him out of home. She said he was in great form yesterday when he worked. He's probably the quickest of the principals. He's got a good turn of foot. He's more your typical champion hurdler. He's not tall. He's quite slight. He's economical in his jumping. My slight concern will be, water ground. I know when we won in Galway, it was wet, but it was wet summer ground. Now, of course, we've had a dry winter, so that'll help. He'd be a great ride in the race because you could sit back and let the others all have a crack on each other and shadow them down to last, and not quite riding like Archibald, but you'd be riding them to come late and fast and put your cards on the table last.
You putting the cards on the table, hopefully?
Well, I'll have to be. I'll be talking nicely to Willie and Rich.
No more Krispy Kreme.
And try to get Paul to go elsewhere. So it's unlikely, but I'd love to ride him. Anyone would.
Yeah, but I mean, how much has he really improved in the sort of course of the last 12 months, or do you think he has, or has he just shown the horse that you kind of thought he was? I remember chatting to you on one of these programs last year. We were talking about Sam Crow, and you were like, "No horse should be odds on against Sharjah."
Yeah.
Do I hammer you with that quote too often?
Look, Christmas last year he was going to win a Grade 1 hard in the bridle, and there was a shadow in front of the last, and he stepped at it like real steel, and he fell. It just seemed to take him 6 months to get over it. He was well below form then until Galway, and even at Galway he was running off 140 something, about 20 pounds below what he is now, and he won by a few lengths. So even from there he's improved. Probably himself and Sam Crow cut one of each other's throats in Down Royal the day Bedrock beat the two of them. His performance again in Punchtown was very good, but again Tombstone took on Faugheen. They went very fast, and Faughin's probably not a 2 mile anymore, so he probably had suspicions after that. And then what he did at Christmas was phenomenal. I mean, it was a slow run race on quick ground, But in 100 yards, he's come around the outside and passed 6 Grade 1 horses. You know, I was thinking of getting there after the last, and suddenly he's in front 50 yards before the last. So he has a huge turn of foot, and now his confidence is back, and I think he's a real confidence horse.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And your thoughts on the Champion Hurdle, because it is. I mean, is Bouvardere a little underappreciated? Like, he's coming in here potential third Champion Hurdler, and he's 13-8. Like, I mean,
yeah, nobody's mentioned Bouvardere so far.
Yeah.
So I'll stand his corner. I mean, it's just a perfect setup, isn't it, for Barry Geraghty? You know, he's got the luxury of letting the others plough their own furrow up front. We know Apples Jade's going to go off. She doesn't know any other way of running. We've also got Global Citizen in there, doesn't take no prisoners, and the lads have already mentioned Charlie Parks as well. As
yeah, I mean, he was
could be a bit of a sacrificial lamb. And you know, Bouvardere, that's what he thrives on. Strongly run Champion Hurdle. He's been there, done it. He knows exactly what he's doing. But other than the blip at Kempton when he probably threw his chance away when booting the third last out of the ground, he's just been exemplary this season. That said, his form in last year's champion, if you just look at it face value, when he beat Mellon and Mick Jazz, probably wouldn't be good enough to win this year. So
Would even his first Champion Hurdle be good enough to win this year?
possibly not. No, possibly not. But he has got the perfect scenario this year. This is probably the first time he's genuinely going to have a right ripping pace. I don't think the Champion Hurdles have been that strongly run in the last couple of years. I think it's a fascinating race. I can't wait to see what Lorena can do. On my figures, she's got one piece of evidence to say she's top class, and that was when she won at Cheltenham last year. And the run, Sandown, we didn't know anything. You know, we couldn't conclude anything there. And even the other day at Punchestown, she was a bit disappointing on the numbers in comparison to other horses in the card. I got her slower than a horse called Insult from the back of the second last and for the circuit time as well. So I just don't know how fast she can run.
Yeah.
So putting everything together, looking at the prices in front of me here, I'm always a big fan of Sharjah. I think he's a crazy price. I don't know how he can be a bigger price than Mellon.
Yeah.
I think Sharjah's got more talent than Mellon. And the two numbers I got Sharjah doing this year, he'd be very difficult to be out of frame if he can run to those numbers. But I think
so there's got a 9-10-1. You think he's an absolute.
The crucial element with him, and Patrick's already touched upon it as well, without repeating it, is the ground.
Yeah.
If they overwater or they have a lot of rain and it goes soft, I think his chances diminish. But if it's not too bad, like it was when he won the Morgiana and when he won at the Leopardstown, he's got a deadly turn of foot, as good as Bouvardere, and he can really rip. His numbers are very good, so I think he's the bet at 9-1.
Do you think he'll get a chance to exercise his numbers though with those two mares burning it up at the front, Richie?
I think it is a fascinating race. Bouvardere, for me, I remember sitting here last year and he was being talked down on the back of a kind of moderate effort at Sandown. It's the same this year. He tends to just do enough, and he's the ultimate speed 2-mile hurdler. He just flicks out over his hurdles and he's very quick. I think
this year he's made two
he
notable
did
mistakes, which is very interesting.
Newcastle in particular, and Kempton. I wouldn't be too worried. I mean, you know,
it's unusual to see Champion Hurdler do that.
It is
twice.
But when you compare the way he jumps, and I know you probably don't like hearing this, but when you compare the way he hurdles to the way Lorena hurdles, from a Champion Hurdle point of view, I mean, he does it the right way. Like, even when he makes a mistake, he gets through it quick. Lorena, I watched her race at Cheltenham again recently. Even last year, she's up and over them. Even over 2 miles at Cheltenham last year, she gets up and over them. She doesn't flick through them. I think she's
if you look at her in the last hurdle in Punchestown, which is the only hurdle she had to race at,
yeah,
she's
better.
She's not a bit better, she's perfect.
Yeah.
But I know what you're
but
saying.
she doesn't have the racing experience.
That is definitely the worry.
You know, on good ground in the Champion Hurdle, that it has to be a concern. I'm a huge fan of Lorena. I was looking at her at Punchestown last week, and she is an absolutely fabulous animal. If she was novice chasing, I suspect she could be favoured for any one of the 3 novice chases.
Make a great 4-miler.
Patrick, do you think she will? So, just someone asked the question there. Do you see Lorena ultimately as a chaser in time?
She has the scope and physique to possibly go that way, yeah. But we'll have to find out how we go. Like Richie says, like the way the season's been, she hasn't got the experience we'd like to get into her. So we'll know more after our next run.
Gav, there's been hardly any talk about Apples Jade. She won the horse of the season. Please talk about Apples Jade, surely.
Yeah, I think that the two biggest races of the festival, obviously, are the Champion Hurdle and the Gold Cup, and I think this year we have 2 fantastic races.
Yeah.
The best we've seen in a long time as a package. I think that Jack Kennedy is going to have to make a big decision very early on in the race. Charlie Parks has ran 9 times for connections, held up out the back every time except in last year's Champion Hurdle, when he went up and annoyed Faugheen and he went 6 lengths clear, turned down the hill. So I think going to the first, Jack has a big decision to make. Is he going to try and get the lead, which she seems to revel in, or is he just going to take a pull and sit behind Charlie Park? So I think that's.
I don't think she has to take the lead. Like in the Hatton's Grace, I set out to make the run on Wicklow Brave, and he sat behind me and twice when I tried to slow it up to get a breather, Jack came up beside me and sent us on again. So I don't think he has to make the running. Yeah, she just wants a strong gallop.
Yeah. She is, but if Charlie Parks is say 6 lengths out in front, coming down the hill, when does Jack decide to go after him? And then sometimes the cyclist that brings him to the peloton is the one that suffers, and it's going to be interesting tactically. I think.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake that happens on the level actually quite a bit as well. I don't want to talk about the flat, but like sometimes chasing a pacemaker is
they won't chase.
I don't think they're.
They won't chase Charlie Parks.
No, I don't
think
think they'll chase Charlie Parks. Would be insane.
So I think. I'd like to see Apples Jade win, and I'd love to see it for Jack Kennedy. I think he gets on fantastic with her. So, but it's a far more open race than just the top 3 in the betting. Yeah. Was there anything else beyond those top 3 in the betting? I think Esper Dallin, I think he's 8 from 9. The day he got beaten in Leopardstown last year, he definitely wasn't. It wasn't him. He was a sick horse that day. But apart from that, he's been really, really good. Is he top class? We don't know. But I'd love to see him.
I mean, technically on a line through Stormy Island, you could bring.
Yeah,
him in. I mean,
he beat it by
I'm
more
reaching here, but
than Lorena did. Yeah. But he'd have an each way chance.
An each way sweep, one of the. Yeah. And is anyone? Well, let's go down across the line then. Who wins the champion hurdle?
Probably no bet, but maybe Apples Jade.
Apples Jade. Beaver Dare. Patrick.
Oh, Apples Jade's the one to beat.
Apples Jade's the one to beat. Okie doke.
Interesting on ratings. Bouverdare is 172. She's 175 or 165, and she's getting the £7. So she is technically bang there on ratings. I think Bouverdare. Yeah.
You think Bouverdare? And who wins the champion hurdle?
I'll probably wait for the downside of the ground, but if it's no worse than good to softs, then Sharjah each way.
Sharjah each way is your bet.
Yeah.
Okay, doke. That's a diverse range of opinions for a brilliant race, the champion hurdle. Right, quick word on the OLBG Mares hurdle. Patrick, we'll start with you because obviously you guys have dominated for quite some time. Benny Deju was kind of the talking horse out of the media day at your place recently. How is she, and is she your main hope for that race?
Yeah, definitely. We just haven't been able to get her out. She's a big mare, and we haven't been able to get her out on the ground. But you know, it didn't do Kivega any harm. Dick Downing, who looks after her, is out every morning, is more than happy with her. You know, she's taken on Apples Jade twice and beaten her twice, so it's understandable why Apples Jade is going for the champion hurdle. And she's probably our banker, yeah.
Yeah, well, and like I say, delighted Apples Jade isn't there too.
Sure, I mean, she's 2-0 up on Apples Jade, so.
Right, anyone else any thoughts on the Mares hurdle, by the way, if you want to chime in there?
Stormy Island might run a race, I'd say. I mean, she won well at Punchestown. She was second to Esper Dallin at Limerick, which is solid form, and she was chased home Lorena the last day. I mean, obviously Willie is good at bringing horses to Cheltenham first time out. He's done it with Quivega, done it with Penhill, but obviously there's an element of risk involved. Benny Deju is the best horse in the race, but at around 8-1 Stormy Island, will she run in that?
Yeah, it'll be quite likely, and I think the old course will suit her much better than the new course did last year, being the kind of front runner she is.
Fell in the Triumph and she was running well, yeah. So I mean, Stormy Island at a price.
Gavin, jump in there.
There's been 14.
Put your hand up down the end. It's not school. It's okay. You can just talk.
There's been 11 mares hurdles and 3 mares novice hurdles, and that man's dad has trained 12 of the 14. So if he says Benny Deju is the banker of the week, he's an amazing man with mares. She wins.
Patrick, you look, you're going to interrupt him there, but you're not. No.
I'll be right.
Yeah, absolutely. Anywhere looking to the handicap selections on Tuesday, and you're going to reach your notes there. Go on.
I was actually going to mention Roxana in the mix.
Roxana?
Yeah, based on her second behind Santini last year, entering a Grade 1. That was a really good run. Just looked as though she had a prep the other day for this race, when finishing third behind Bouverdare. Looked as though it needed a run over 2 miles, stepping back up to 2.5. I think she'll run. She's 14-1 at the moment. I think it's an amazing price for the mares race.
And you'll be able to get probably back each way without a decent.
And probably have a bet without the favourite as well.
Yeah, at 14 she'd be great. Yeah. Anything else with our handicaps around the card on Tuesday? Gavin, we'll start with you. Go on.
The Ultima looks too hard. The Close brothers, A Plus Tard, had 5 runs in France, 3 runs in Ireland. I just have a sneaking suspicion it's better going left-handed. It got beat in Gorn. It beat Duke de Genève in Nace, the race that's worked out very well, and then it got beat the last day going right-handed. It got a rating today of 144. It's only a 5-year-old. Basically, it's a rating of 151, less than £7 for being a 5-year-old. So I think it's a graded horse in a handicap.
So who's the name of the horse again?
A Plus Tard, trained by Henry de Bromhead.
Good stuff. Anything else for you on Tuesday, Nicola?
Probably the best backed in the handicaps would be OK Carl, who's been backed into 3-1 from 16-1 since that win at Warwick. And then also there's been money about for Give Me a Copper in the Ultima at 6-1.
Good stuff. I mentioned the 4-miler, Patrick, because obviously Ballyward apparently only got one entry. You were in charge of that, was it? That's how your dad said.
Yeah, he only has one option, so he's our only entry. So his form has worked out very well from Nace. The second and third were first and second in a grade 2 afterwards. My one concern with him is he has a bit of a lack of experience. He only has 2 chase runs. Now he has a point-to-point run as well. Yeah. That is a concern, but he was 2 or 3 lengths behind OK Corral in the Albert Bartlett last year, so he has a couple lengths to make up. He's not the most straightforward horse to ride. He can wander a bit, which he did last year in Cheltenham and also in his point-to-point. The lack of experience is a worry. I've no doubt that he has the ability and the 4 miles will suit him, but just going to be able to get him around. The 4 miler is quite a different race than the other novice chases. It's usually a bigger field. It's much more like a handicap, and obviously being 4 miles there's more jumping. So getting him in, get him settled and get him to a rhythm is going to be a big thing, and hopefully appear there somewhere after second.
You mentioned OK Corral there. Is he your most obvious danger, the horse to be most concerned about? I mean, obviously the 2 of them pretty much disputing favouritism.
Yeah, like I said, he finished ahead of him in Cheltenham last year. Again, he only has 2 runs as well, and he does look plenty keen for the race, but I suppose Derek is the man for the job to get him settled there. So he looks the obvious danger. Good stuff.
Anything else for you on Tuesday? Andy, sorry, you then go, Richie.
I'd have my doubts whether OK Corral will get the 4 miles. He almost just shows too much speed for a genuine 4 mile. I mean, he ran quicker than a 2 mile handicapper when he won at Warwick the other day. I actually think he should be in the RSA, but obviously they've got Santini in there, so you know they've rerouted this fella. I do fancy Ballyward. He clocked a fantastic time when he won at Nace the other day. Whether he would have beaten Discorama, of course, is out to question. Discorama actually has entered up in that race as well.
He's going 4 mile and
and he ran well in the boys' race last year when he finished second to Blow by Blow, so he's got Cheltenham Festival experience. If they're both of those 2 running the 4 mile, I'd back Ballyward and Discorama. Also like a Plutard in the handicap. I think he's well treated off the back of his good run behind Winter Escape and that good time figure when he won at Nace. And I certainly wouldn't discount Mr. Whittaker in the Ultima. It's not a race I'm mad keen on from an anti-post perspective.
And you have a stable mole.
Well, the stable mole's popped up again, yeah. And he said that his horses...
I'll leave it out there.
He's been a bit quiet this season, Mr. Whittaker, but he ran well last time out behind Surname over an adequate trip. Nowadays, anyway, he looks as though he wants further. Yeah. He got outpaced behind Gary Moore's horse at Cheltenham early on in the season. But apparently he's going really well. He's actually coming back to himself, so Mr. Whittaker in the Ultima as well.
Good stuff. Richie, anything else for you on Tuesday?
Yeah, very briefly. In the Ultima, I'd give Black Carton a life. Finished 5th in the RSA last year, and he was second to Calypto at Ascot last time. He'd have a chance surely off 11-7 in the Ultima. In the 4 miler, Mortal possibly at around 12-1. Ran well behind Delta Work at Christmas over 3 miles. Bit outpaced over 2.6 the last time behind Le Bag or at Leopardstown, but he's 12-1 in the 4 miler, probably run well in that. And the one other that caught my eye in the Close Brothers was Ballywood of Alan King. Yeah, he's in a couple of races. I'm not sure what he's going to run in, but he's a horse that ran well behind Dynamite Dollars. So I'd give him a chance in that if he runs in it.
We just got a question about Verdana Blue, and Richie, you were kind of talking about this earlier, so I'll direct it to you. But she was beaten tonight in the all weather. She's gone and beaten Champion Hurdle favourite earlier on in the season, and now where did they go with her now? Do you think she should be, having a pop here on the Tuesday, either Champion Hurdle or Mare's Hurdle?
Yeah, look, it's hard to know exactly. They obviously feel she's very, very ground dependent. Again, I remember sitting here last year and fancying her for the Mare's race, and they declared her for the Champion Hurdle, I think, and didn't run her. They feel she's very ground dependent after getting beat tonight. I haven't seen the race on the all weather. I don't know what they're going to do with her. I mean, you really best of luck to anyone trying to second guess plans for that mare, because they obviously feel it's difficult to place her. So I have no idea what they're going to do.
Good stuff. Keep those questions coming in on #WTW Live, and of course that amazing prize as well for you. We're going to move on to the Wednesday action now. We'll start with the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. So Nicola, give us a few prices in this one.
Well, Champ will be one of the biggest losers of the week, and what we like to call one of the bloodbath results, because named after AP McCoy, owned by JB McManus, 5 ones beside his name, and he's still a backable price at 3-1. He'll probably go off around the 5-2 mark. Battle Over Doyen is the closest rival. He jumps well, but probably lacks it just doesn't have that experience. I don't think is in there at 9-2. And then after that, it's Classical Dream 10-1. The rest.
Patrick, who are you guys likely to run in this Classical Dream?
Like I said, Classic Dream is a possibility. I've no doubt 2-5 will suit him. Our other interesting possible is Allaho, he's a fine big horse. He's probably 17 hands. He's really a chaser for next year, but he does a lot of good work at home. I thought he was probably my banker to ride a winner at Christmas, and somehow managed to get him bet. He finished 4th. It was a funny race. I think probably with hindsight I should have let him stride on. Even though he turned in looking like he was going to win, 3 horses had gone by him, and then he's the last horse to pulling up, he's gone past them all again. So we took the unusual decision then to step up to 3 miles at his next run, and that did the trick in a grade 3. You know, so I think that's 3 miles. What Willie thought afterwards, he was plenty keen all the way. He was in Ruby's hands. So he's considering bringing him back to 2-5. You know, a la what he did with Black Hercules, gone back for that JLT. No matter what race he turns up in, he's well worth a bet because he's a horse with a lot of ability. He is still a bit of a baby, and again, you'll see him in the flesh. He's one for next year. Yeah,
fine, big step. So he's one who could be out or could go for the Albert Bartlett perhaps either, or you think he's just better off staying 2-5?
He's in the Albert Bartlett as well. I think, Richie. But yeah, he has options. So again, look, he was keen in Clonmel, so possibly might come back to 2-5 because of that. But I've no doubt in time when he learns to settle, he's going to want further. He's definitely one to keep an eye on. So he's a very exciting horse.
Gavin, I mean, last year we had I kind of looked at this running order from last year. It was all about the second coming, you know, and Samco and that. We have Champ this year, but probably not the same oomph about him, I guess, from a public engagement point of view, is it?
Yeah, he's a 7-year-old. I think it's French Holly is the last 7-year-old to win it. There's 12 Krispy Kremes there. Patrick, please take them home to your dad and beg him to run Classical Dream in this because I think that'll win. He's got way more gears, I think, than Champ or Battle Over Diane. He'd hammer them over 2 miles. He's already won a Grade 1. He's plenty of experience in France. He was 4th in a Grade 1 over 2-2 on a tie and soft ground. He'd definitely stay. I think on Nicola's page here, she's showing 10-1 Classical Dream. I think that's just the value of Cheltenham if he runs
the
here.
value of Cheltenham?
Yeah, Classical Dream for the Ballymore, yeah.
Okie doke. Good stuff. Good stuff. Value of Cheltenham. There you go. Right. Battle Over Diane. Why is the lack of love for Battle Over Diane, Richie?
He's a big raw baby. You'd have to like the way he responded for pressure. He got outpaced the last day and kept going. He's a lovely horse, likeable chasing prospect. But both him and Champ, both of their Grade 1 form wouldn't really knock the eye out. Getaway Trump was within a couple of lengths of Champ the last day. He was 7 lengths behind Al Dancer at Ascot. I think he was conceding a pound that day, but on collateral form, you can take it literally. But I mean, neither of the Grade 1s that Battle Over Diane won or Champ won, the form hasn't stood up especially well. The one for me is City Island. I think he's very much under the radar. Martin Brazel's horse. He's basically won 3, unbeaten in 3, was disqualified at Galway, so he's won 2 maiden hurdles. Travels, jumps, I think at 10-1, he's probably underestimated. I hope Mark Walsh will be able to ride him. I'm not sure what the riding plans will be, but Gavin is talking about Classical Dream as his banker for the week nearly. To be honest, this guy is one of mine at 10-1.
Yeah, I actually spoke to the trainer just after he won in Naas. He's very sweet and he thinks his form is solid too.
I suspect it is, and I suspect if WP Mullins was after his name, he'd be about 7-2. Okay,
that's classic. Classic line there. Will you train him? He'd be sure to prize. Right, come on, British speed figures. Are there any here, because we've kind of an Irish focus on that race so far, but obviously Champ's British trained favourite. Anything else?
Champ's got the best time figure, courtesy of his Challow hurdle. It's a bit of a poison chalice, the Challow hurdle win. I don't know if anyone knows the stats, but 16 have attempted to double up at Cheltenham, and all of them got beat. Don't ask me why. I don't know why.
It looks like a natural follow-on.
It does. Yeah, it's a Grade 1. You know, it's always a strong race. And yet, for some reason, it's a bogey. Plus the fact that he's a 7-year-old, and as Gav's already mentioned, only French Holly's
in the last 50
overcoming.
years.
So he's got 2 alarming stats to overcome, even though he's the best UK horse, and he's yet to race at Cheltenham. So, would I want to back him at 11-4? The answer obviously is quite obviously no. I think Battle Over Diane's hugely underestimated, even from the Irish guys, which is great news, because I've got the figures to back it up that this horse is quicker than what he looks.
Okay.
They won a good gallop in the Nation of a hurdle. It wasn't like an outrageous gallop, but it was a good, solid pace. He clocked a very good overall. Interesting, his last circuit was 4 seconds quicker than Valdier, who won the novice hurdle over 2 miles. Now the 2.5 mile hurdle should be, you know, slightly slower, but this one was quicker by about 20 lengths. Plus, from the back of the third last, he did 57.2 and Valdier was 58.3. And when I watched Valdier on the run, I thought, Christ, that's flew.
Yeah.
And Bartlett beat him by 5 lengths and 3 out. So he can operate, this fella. Trust me, he's a really he's quick as well as he stays. And when he hit that hill, he took off up the hill. So,
but does that not mean then that Sam's profile is nearly
I
that
was
much?
just about going to say.
So that's my thing with times. Like, does that not mean that the first 3 horses are?
Like Get a Reason was third. Should Get a Reason would be in the same league as?
Like he's a grade 3 horse.
Possibly not.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Just
well, the time will tell whether it pans out or not.
No.
But I've backed the 2 against the field because I don't think this is a great race this year. Because I battle the Doyen, Overdoyen is the best Irish horse I've got. And Sam's profile is an insulting price. I think you'd still shop around and get 25 to 1 for him. But he absolutely booted one out of the ground down the back. He actually made 2 mistakes. I spoke to Brian Cooper actually at a racing seminar the other week, and he said he just took his eye off the ball. It was uncharacteristic of him to do that because he said he's actually quite a good jumper. Yeah. And if he wouldn't have made those 2 bad mistakes, I think Sam's profile would have given Battle Over Doyen a race. And he reminds me very much of First Lieutenant, who won the race a few years ago for Mouse. Just stays really well. He's a relentless galloper. He's got a great heart.
Yeah.
I think they're a cut above the Irish contenders based on my figures anyway. Those are the 2 for me. I'll back both Battle Over Doyen at 6 to 1 and 25 to 1 for Sam's profile. They'll do it for me.
Okay, quickly down the line. Ballymore, who are you with?
Classical Dream Each Way, definitely.
Classical Dream Each Way, Nicola.
I've now been convinced. Classical.
Right, yeah, there you go, Patrick.
I'm not going to disagree with them. We'll go with Classical Dream.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely.
City Island.
City Island, yeah, big fan of the horse. And Battle Over Doyen?
The 2 against the field, Battle Over Doyen and Sam's profile.
Good stuff. Right, let's move on to the RSA Chase then. Nicola, how do you bet for this?
Well, Santini was 8 to 1 at the start of the season, now 11 to 4. Always been held in such high regard by connections, and even being backed for Gold Cup next year, anti-post. But actually, I think Top of the Game has done very little wrong this season. He beat Santini at Kempton on St Stephen's Day, coming second to Labagua, and he's certainly be a contender in this at 5 to 1 now, and is one of Nichol's, I think, biggest festival hopes. I think he looks the value. Gordon Elliott has dealt to work in there as well at 7 to 2, and by all accounts, he's in very good form. Yeah,
Richie, what do you make of this?
Delta Work is you know, banker material really. I think he's the outstanding horse in the race. Won a pair of attempts last year, beating Glenlow. Just got chinned by Next Destination at Punchestown in a good Grade 1, unbeaten over fences. Beat Le Richebourg, who's come out and won 2 Grade 1s. Yeah, he's proper horse. Top of the game. I don't like horses that don't go through with it. You know, he was there to win the race in the Coral Cup last year. Did it at Kempton again. Granted, he ran well at Exeter on his debut when he got left at the start, but he doesn't tend to go through with it, which would be a concern up the hill at Cheltenham. Santini, they're getting very excited about him again. I mean, he couldn't win an Albert Bartlett last year. How good is he really? Delta Work is a rock solid 3 to 1 shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrick, will you guys have one in the RSA? Or?
No, I don't think so. We've been very, very restricted on
just getting runs into chases, I guess.
And then there was an enforced situation where Ballymore didn't get entered in it. So
you and Tipex, was it?
No, it's an intriguing race. The top 3, you know, of all good previous festival form. Santini and Top of the Game were placed there. Delta Work went and won. I know it was a handicap in the attempts, but he also has slightly more experience. Top of the Game and Santini have 2 runs each, which is a worry, I would have said. I know Delta Work only has 1 extra run, but that 1 extra run could make the difference. And perhaps the stats won't stack up as much this year because it's been such an unusual winter. But I would have thought Delta Work should be favoured.
Yeah, Gav, are you with Delta Work?
Oh, definitely, yeah, 100%. Yeah. He owes me a big favour last year after beating Glenlow. It's good to see I got over it. After almost a year. But people have to remember that when he beat Le Richebourg in the Drinmore Fairy House,
he missed the last.
And he lost an iron. Yeah. But Le Richebourg did stay. I fancied Le Richebourg maybe for the JLT back then. I thought that's the race he was going to go for. But to be able to beat Le Richebourg over 2.5 easily, having made a mistake, lost an iron, it was a fantastic performance. He definitely stays 3 mile. He won at Christmas. He won the Pertemps. Yeah, I think he should probably be favoured. Santini looked a little bit slow at the bend in Kempton at Christmas. Top of the game, took it up. Yeah, I can just see Delta Work out battling Top of the Game.
Yeah, fair enough. Does Santini pop up in speed figures, Andy?
He does on the
Really?
yeah, he does on the Kempton run. That's the best UK speed figure over 3 miles. Interesting as well that last circuit was 2 seconds quicker than Clanders Oboe.
Yeah.
So they're obviously operating at a good level. And Santini, as a result, just couldn't lay up with that. He just didn't have the speed. He's more of obviously a stayer, and that sharp track found him out. I agree with the guys about top of the game. I just don't think he gets home. I'm a big fan of the horse. I backed him in the Coral Cup last year and thought he was going to win going down to the last. Didn't quite get home. Definitely didn't get home at Kempton on a flat track. I can't see how he's going to get up the hill at 3 miles around Cheltenham in a good gallop. I agree with the boys. I think Delta Works a standout price here. I think if you shop around in the village, you can still get 4 to 1, which, if you're an each-way thief like I am, just like fill your boots.
Yeah.
There's
Account closer central, that is.
I've got no shame.
Yeah,
Absolutely no shame
good.
whatsoever.
That's what you want. That's the kind of advice you want,
Exactly, yeah.
folks.
Just
Thievery, the highest
absolutely,
order.
don't feel ashamed. I think there's going to be a small field in this. There has been for the last 4 or 5 years. So you're only looking about 8, 9, 10 runners. I mean, looking down at some of the lists, Corral's been chalked up 11 to 2. That goes for the 4 miler. Probably would have won this if it run in it. Vindication needs it soft. Chris's Dream, Champagne Classic, probably going to run elsewhere. So you're only going to get like a handful of runs. And Delta Work, I think it should be 5 to 2.
When you see a 4 to 1 like that, would you kind of go and take a walk around the shops, like try and get a few quid on the bookies?
I don't know which is causing
you
me to
have
lick
to
my
do-
lips more. Those crispy cremes over there, or me looking at 4 to 1 Delta Work. Look, his numbers are great. I also think he's very professional as well. That day last year when Glenlow came to beat him in the Pertemps, he stuck his head down. He just would not let
Okay.
Glenlow. I back Glenlow as the same as you.
And,
I'm absolutely smart in
as much on him as I did.
So he's got everything. He's got mental toughness. He jumps very carefully as well. Sometimes just a little bit too careful.
Yeah.
But once he warms up in his race and he gets into a good rhythm, he's very good. So he's not the type of one that will just go and headbutt something.
Yeah.
I think he looks after himself. But that's the kind of horse that you need in RSA. Something's got a bit of a self-preservation, that stays well and has got the right attitude, and he ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, just before we move on to the Queen Mother Champion Chase, because the star of the festival arguably is going to line up. A lot of stars have missed out. Someone's just asked a question here. What horse are you most disappointed about missing Cheltenham? Patrick, before we start with you, what horse are you most disappointed going to not turn up at Cheltenham?
It's a long list this year. Sherpen Hill obviously is, he was going for his 3rd consecutive festival. Not many horses get to do that, so it's disappointing not to get me there this year.
Gavin, any horse you're most disappointed about?
I suppose Penn Hill and maybe Laurishburg. I don't think Ireland are going to win the Arkle. Laurishburg would have had a good chance. That's a pity.
Yep, Richie?
Next Destination. He was ruled out a long time ago. He's a horse I'm mad about, but just was ruled out in November, I'd say, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, and Andy, any horse you're really disappointed missed the festival? Just a couple of
not personally from a betting perspective, but Laurishburg probably. He'd look the real deal, and ever in Ireland. It's a bit of a shame he's not there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of diluted the race quality-wise. And we want to see the best horses there, and he isn't, so that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the best horse is lining up in the Queen Mother Champion Chase. That is Altior. Nicola, how do you bet for this?
Not much of a betting race with Altior in there at 2 to 5, footpad min 6 to 1, under so 11. In fact, what we're betting on is how far Altior is going to win by, and it's 13 to 8 over 7 lengths, and 7 or unders also 13 to 8. There has been some support for footpad, but I think he'll have a lot to do to threaten the favourite.
Patrick, who are you going to take Altior on with? Are you going to go footpad min?
No decision yet. I mean, he's very hard to take on. I would have thought 7 or less is a fair bet, considering he's a lazy type of horse. I might take some of that. Right? Look, Min he's had 2 goes with him. He hasn't got within 7 lengths of him. So you'd be banking on something going amiss with Altior. I didn't like the way he jumped left the last day. To me, a horse who's had 12 runs should be able to jump out in front and jump straight.
What did you make of what they said about that he was always a bit idle and this and that? Would you take a bit that with a pinch of salt?
Well, it might be true, but to me, a professional racehorse should be able to jump out and make the running and jump straight. So, I mean, he galloped yesterday. He's obviously fine and well, but it just makes you wonder, possibly if he did that again in Cheltenham. I know it's left-handed, but it would obviously take a few lengths off and might give Min a better chance. It's probably hard to see under so taking him on. The Ryanair looks probably the more obvious for him. And then footpad, the season hasn't been ideal. Obviously he's got that overreach twice. He schooled very well in Navan the other day.
How is he now? I mean, would you be happy all systems go with him now? Like, does he look a different horse now than he sort of did earlier on in the season, or is he?
Yeah, look, we were always happy with him earlier in the season. It was just when he slipped at the 3rd fence in Naas, got the overreach, which obviously cut into his time to prep for Christmas. Looked like he was back himself for Christmas and blew up on the finish line. and so now he wasn't working at his very best before the Dublin Racing Festival, so Min went there instead, and we're happy with him now. So we have to decide whether stepping up to 2.5 is no problem. As Willie said last year, you know, being a 4-year-old who won over 2 miles, he could make into a Gold Cup horse.
Yeah. I mean, there was a little bit of talk about King George potentially with him at one stage last year. So
you know, so he's not one that we're worried about the trip. So, you know, the Ryanair looks like he might cut up. That might be the more obvious
He's
choice.
won a grade 1 over 2.5.
He has, you know, toy, yeah. So, but we're not looking forward to taking that.
Not looking forward to taking that. That's the bottom line. Is there a bet against Altior, or is there a bet with Altior? Is there a bet in this race, Gavin?
Altior each way.
Yeah. 2 to 5.
I say we can move on to the next race.
I just hope that they finally give him a proper rating after he bolts up again. Surname got a rating the other day at 181. I think they still have Altior at 175, so that's my bugbear. I want to get him to 180.
They're not there to take him on though. I mean, that's the problem. They're just
he wins easy and he'll win easy again.
Anything to bet on in this race, or anything put against him?
Like I said, there's more than one way to skin a cat in a race like this. Obviously, I mean, the needy ingredient, we could take in 3 on about Altior. So I'd potentially look at this one without the favourite market. Hopefully there'll be 8, 9 runners. So even with Altior out,
sticking with the theme of each race, Phil. Absolutely. Don't
want to break that trend. A lot depends on what Willie does, of course, with Footpad and Min. Whether Simon Munir and partners would want to run 2 in their colours in this race and waste a bullet. Obviously, Footpad and Sco Royale I'm talking about. Sco Royale obviously he's not entered up in any race, so he'd probably likely go. So that might mean maybe Footpad through the owners might want to run in the other race. Although Min, of course, has got the same dilemma, being better over 2.5 arguably, or just as effective, and hasn't beaten Altior. So it's a race where really I can only make a proper decision until I've seen the full lineup on the day. If it was good ground,
you're just crossing your fingers for 9 runners, so you can get 8 into an 8 favourite market, is it?
Look, okay, if you're putting me on the spot now, I know that Sco Royale's definitely going to run. If the ground's no worse than good to soft, he's a good operator around Cheltenham on good ground. He's got a good turn of foot. He's almost certain to be in the first 3 or 4. Like I say, without the favourite, you're bound to make money on Sco Royale. So Sco Royale's the each way without the fav. Good stuff.
Right, quick word on the bumper. Patrick, you're relatively light on bumper, and a sort of Mount Leinster and Blue Sari. I think we're the only 2 we saw. Is there others?
Yeah, no, that's actually it's been a light year on the bumper front. A lot of it because of the ground again. Yeah. So look, that's just the way it goes. Blue Sari, he's a horse at home that he's got a fantastic temperament. He only does enough. You know, going to Gore and he hadn't blown us away. But he'd always just done what he'd been asked to do, and then when it was his first time on grass with us anyway, in Gorn, and he was a different proposition altogether.
I mean, that was a stunning performance. I mean, were you surprised by that?
We were. You know, he doesn't show that at home, but that if he does go to Cheltenham, that will work in his advantage because he's a very laid back horse. You know, a lot of horses have ridden 3 or 4 there and got down to start and it's all over. Whereas I don't expect him to be like that at all. Now, obviously, being a French bred who came from Charelles, that he was probably broken at 2, and you know he might be like your normal 4-year-old going into this bumper. He probably has a bit more done, which is probably an advantage to him. So I'd be very keen on him.
Can you ride him?
No, what he 10-11 is.
Sorry, no, it's just
his new owner. JP McMahon probably has his own jockeys as well, but. On Vialan, I'm not convinced. I've no doubt he's a top class long-term prospect. But you know, James always gone about him being the last, you know, where he's pulling up, but he's pulling up with all the other horses. We're pulling up further than we usually do because the ground is better. He's not pulling up a furlong past all the other horses. He didn't blow me away in Leopardstown. I know it was quick ground, but I thought he was a better horse in Navan than he was in Leopardstown. So. You know, it's a very tricky race this year.
Who would so you'd say not that impressed in MVL, and yours very good. Who else has struck you then in that sort of bumper field that you think could be a potential winner?
I quite like the pipe horse, Epson the Who.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Eden
the Who. Yeah. Sorry. He's impressed me, and we also have the horse was second to him in his point-to-point, Tackle Move, who's a horse I like a lot. I'm looking forward to getting him out for end of the season. So he's the one that caught my eye from across the water.
Good stuff. Gavin, anything in the bumper for you?
Actually, you have to talk with Blue Sari and Envoy Allen. I became Andy Holding for half an hour after Gorham Park. I measured the last circuit and the last 3 furlongs just to see, because visually it was very impressive, but obviously the form is not so hot. And yeah, it was.
Well, it's difficult now. Second horse fell when he was absolutely
Yeah,
cantering
the third and
next
fourth on
time
bad
out.
sense, so the third and fifth. But the last 3 furlongs was way quicker than the other races that day, so he could be very good getting the weight. Envoy Allen was very impressive, as Patrick said. In Navan, the horse he beat, came out and won there on Sunday in Naas. He wasn't so impressive in Leopardstown. The ground was very, very quick. I think if they overwater in Cheltenham, which they may, I think if the ground came up good to soft, a little bit of give, it'd be very difficult to pass. That Jamie Codd kind of did a lap of Leopardstown the last day on the outside, so I think he's probably the best. Envoy Allen.
Okie doke. Quick thought on the bumper. Do you have anyone for you,
Yeah,
Richie?
no massive strong opinion on it, but Blue Sari at 6 to 1 is you'd have to like him.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything for you, Andy?
It's always a very difficult race for me to assess because time figure wise, a lot of these horses just haven't had the potential to run quickly because bumpers in essence aren't very strongly run. Belusari obviously quickened up really well from the back of the old third last, or the wings where the wings of the third last was. I think he was about 4 seconds quicker than presenting Percy, but the overall time was diabolical. Nowhere near championship level, so we just don't know what he's going to be like in a strongly run environment. The best UK horse I've got is Get in the Queue.
Yeah.
Also Harry Fry's that won the other day. He was rapid. I mean, he absolutely battered Epatante on the last circuit. There was about 8 seconds difference.
Quicker than her.
Yeah, I was absolutely by a mile. He's a really good operator, but obviously he's owned by the Rooneys. Whether they'll want to run him in a race like that, who knows? And the other two I'd mention, Envoy Allen's got a very good number next to his name at Leopardstown. At least we know he can run in a strongly run championship environment, I think, which is important. And the other one would be Master Debonair from the Colin Tizard stable. He's already got course and distance form. Very similar to Ballyandy, who won the same race a few years ago before he went on to win at the festival. And Master Debonair won that race back in November. Clocked a good number, stayed on strong up the hill, and the form of those in behind has worked out well. So if Get in the Queue is to run, I'd almost make him one of my bankers in the meeting based on his numbers. But if not, then Master Debonair.
Good stuff. I'll move on to the cross-country potential slice of history with Tiger Roll, who's what a star.
Just let Gavin do this and get
Gavin,
it out of the way. It's done then.
Is he your favourite horse going to run at the festival?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, he's fantastic. I told
Do you
you.
have a boat named after him?
Sorry.
I expect you to have a boat or something named
No, I
after
don't.
him.
I don't have a boat.
Like Conor McGregor in his 188, he got
No.
Tiger Roll.
The one I told Jenna the other day was great. That he's born on the 14th of March. All his wins at Cheltenham, Triumph Hurdle, 4 miler, cross country have been on the 14th of March.
What?
Yeah, that's fact. And this year he's running on the 13th. But as I said to Jenna, somewhere in Australia it's the 14th. So
okay.
yeah, Tiger Roll to win. Yeah.
Okay, Tiger Roll to win. Anyone see past Tiger? Patrick, who will you be running against him?
Hopefully ride Ballycasey. He finished lame after Punchestown the other day, so draw a line through that. But it's going to be very hard to beat Tiger Roll. And I think Gordon deserves huge credit for what he's done with him and the causes. The career he's planned for those two horses has been extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on the cross-country? Thoughts on either of those?
If Auvergnat was to run, I think he's definitely worth at least a mention based on the Paddy Power run. He can't beat Tiger Roll in last year's form because he beat him about 17 lengths, but he looked revitalised the other day in the Paddy Power with the blinkers on for the first time. If they work again, of course, that's a $64,000 question. I certainly think he's got an each-way chance anyway.
Couple of viewers' questions coming in. Just on Altior, I don't think he just should step up in trip. I mean, you're talking about his rating and like, think he should step up in trip? Maybe just see.
Oh, it'd be great to see him on the King George next year, yeah. But he's the best 2-mile chaser on the planet, so I mean they're entitled to make the most of it for the moment. But I'd love to see him in the King George, yeah.
Would you like to, Patrick? Maybe we'll give you a chance to win the Champion Chase, maybe.
Yeah. I think it's very sporting of Nicky to say that he's going to step up to the King George next year. Kind of, it smacks, of. I was at horses of yesteryear. You're right in the 50 greatest 2-milers there. They were posted. You're reading about all these horses who won Champion Chases and King George and Nationals, and he looks like the type that could do that. I mean, he's an extraordinary racehorse. It's to turn down what looks a certainty to be a triple Champion Chase winner, in order to go and be sporting and strive for.
They don't need to turn it down either, though. If it doesn't work out in the King George, they can just come back.
Yeah.
I mean, that, it's a shot to nothing at this stage in a way, I would venture.
It is until
he hasn't won the second yet, mind.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. But it's there's plenty, the likes of Dunkirk, and there's horses there to go to King George and they don't come back to 2 miles after. So it is sporting. It's not as simple as we'll try it and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cato Star, in fairness,
he did it
back for a Tingle Creek.
Yeah,
second time.
Awesome. Quick thoughts on the Wednesday handicaps. Anything jumping out for you on that card? Gavin, start with you.
Maybe it's an obvious one, but Uradell in the Coral Cup, he was 5th in the Ladbrokes Handicap Hurdle. The Dublin Racing Festival have 132, 133 in Ireland, got £4 today, 137. If he doesn't get in there, he'll probably go off favourite or short for the Martin Pipe. He's rated over 100 in the flat. His jumping is okay. The last he just got tapped for over 2 miles. I think Uradel in the Coral Cup or the Martin Pipe.
Yeah, how is Uradel, Patrick? Obviously, he went into pretty much every notebook in the country after the run the last day, but
Yeah, he just didn't get daylight. He turned in beside the winner, Off You Go, and Off You Go has kept him in actually at the top of the straight. And I've been thinking, why is Mark Walsh give him in? He's not going to win from there. And Mark flies home and wins. And our horse hasn't got daylight, so he's trying to run through horses and you know, he never got a clear run. So I think he's got a few pounds in his locker. You know, I think Orby McMahon gets the best tune out of him, but I don't know if we'll be able to get Orby on board for him here at the weight. But look, he's a horse that probably wants, because he won over 2 miles on the flat at Galway, he probably wants 2.5 or 3 over hurdles.
yeah, that's fair enough. Any others in the handicaps for you?
Yeah, I'm quite strong on a couple in the juvenile race. I've backed Band of Outlaws at a big price. I think juvenile hurdle-wise, Joseph O'Brien's just farmed that division.
Yeah,
he's got in a seriously good turn of foot. And I've also had a few good horses called Hannon, trained by John McConnell. He was a good second the other day behind Chosen Mate. But that time figure was exceptionally good, and it was a grade 3 as well. He would have definitely beaten Chosen Mate with another couple of strides. The further they were going, the better he looked. So the hill should suit him at Cheltenham. I think he's around that 16-20 to 1.
Yeah.
He probably might be ground reliant in the sense that he's unproven on soft, if it was to go soft. But he looked quite good the other day. He looks as though his campaign has been built, especially around Cheltenham. So my 2 against the field in the juvenile handicap would be Band of Outlaws and Hannon.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else for you in those handicaps on Wednesday, Richie?
Yeah, in the Coral Cup, I'd give Vision de Flow a chance. Ran well enough behind Bouvedere, won the race at Fontwell, the National Spirit Hurdle. He's a good horse, could run well in that. And again, just to echo what Andy says, you'd want to be keeping Joseph O'Brien on side in the Fred Winter.
In the 4-year-olds, he looks exceptional.
Fine Brunello is in off around 11-2. If Fakir Dudaras is as good as everyone thinks he might be, then he's got to be a big player off 11-2.
Yeah, absolutely. Just talking about, I just got a question in talking about the top jockey, top trainer markets. Quick thoughts on this. People looking, would they do the double Elliot Russell or Elliot Jack Kennedy? Anyone fancy that double? Gordon Elliott, top trainer? Patrick says no chance. What?
I think Gordon will win top trainer.
Yeah?
Yeah, he'll win.
It's kind of tricky to know with his jockey bookings because he has so many jockeys and so many horses. It's kind of, would you pop Jack Kennedy in with that double?
No, that's too greedy.
But
But
okay.
he'll win as many grade 1s as the other trainers, but I think he'll just win 2 or 3 handicaps as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's where he gets, the extra little bit.
Okay, well, thanks Shane for that question. Reminder, keep those questions coming in at WTW Live, hashtag WTW Live. Right, start on the Thursday then. We'll start off with the JLT. Nicola, give us a few prices for this one.
Lost in Translation is the one to beat here as far as we're concerned. In there at 3 to 1, and I suppose he cemented a spot at the head of the betting when getting off the mark at Cheltenham on New Year's Day. He was beaten by Daffy de Soul last time out, but the signs, well, I think Daffy de Soul is going to be rerouted. You think that Daffy de Soul is going to stay here, and if that's the case, Daffy de Soul looks at a nice price at 7 to 2.
Yeah, Daffy de Soul runs here, Gavin, does he?
I hope so. I've backed him and I'll back him again if 7 to 2 no bet seems value to me.
Yeah.
He got beat by him at Cheltenham, giving him £3, got there too soon. The last day in Sandown, Barry held it up a bit later till the last, stormed up the hill in soft ground. I think that's how you have to ride this horse. Triumph Hurdle winners often end up a stair, so I just wouldn't be totally mad about him in the Arkle, but I think he'll win the JLT, yeah. I think it's an ordinary JLT.
Yeah, Real Steel Patrick here is what quoted at 6 to 1 for you guys. Is that where he heads?
Yeah, most likely.
He was a nice winner at Fairyhouse that day.
He was good in Fairyhouse and he won well in Thurles the last day. I do wonder, is he slightly better right-handed perhaps? I'm not sure. He's a better hurdler than he was a better chaser than he was a hurdler.
Yeah.
Whether he's quite up to winning grade 1 at Cheltenham, I'm not sure, but this race could cut up.
I was going to say, do you think this is a race, just looking at that, it looks like the top of the market could easily cut up. Like,
yeah.
Quite a few of them they're going to go either 2 miles or 3.
I think probably a 6 to 1 is not a bad each way bet, but he needs to step up his form in order to win this.
Yeah. Andy, anything on the speed figures for you in this one? Again, it's kind of looking at what's going to run, isn't it?
Yeah, first of all, the 3 betting races, or 3 races you've got to have a serious look at because there's going to be multiple defections. We've talked about one of them already, the RSA. This is another one, and the other one is the Ryanair, which we'll talk about in a second. But you've got to have a bet in this race now, because as you can see, Glenforce are top of the game, Delta work, Kalashnikov maybe not, Hardline will probably go for the Arkle. You know, it's going to be decimated towards the top end of the market. I could see them going off sort of 2 to 1, 5 to 2, the front end, lost in translation, Defi de Soy. I actually think Defi de Soy, if you actually, like I say, take all the likely non-runners out, has got an easy task in this in the Arkle. It's almost, why would you want to go into the Arkle against proven good 2-milers? I also think Kildesart's a player. He only won a handicap, but it was a good handicap there at Trials Day, so he's got course and distance form. And I loved how tough he was as well.
I mean, regardless of the quality of the race, he's won a handicap, but you know, these are novices. Is course and distance form and course form one of those?
Absolutely,
golden
it's got to count for a lot. And obviously he's got it, and so has Lost in Translation, Defi de Soy. Those are the three to concentrate on here. So if you shop around, you could probably get value all three of those.
You Dutch the book here, would you?
Well, you could have been in a great position if you backed all three. But of those, I'm looking at here, Lost in Translation, I think I've seen 4 to 1 in the village somewhere. Again, if you can get 4 to 1 close to that quarter the odds, again, that looks another free bet. He looks bomb-proof. He got dive bombed by Defi de Soy last time. There was a good ride by Barry Geraghty. He did his homework and he mugged Richard Johnson. He fluffed the last of the lead, jumped out to the left as well, and that mistake and the momentary loss of momentum just meant that Defi de Soy with his flat speed just got away from him. Whereas the longer running at Cheltenham from the last enabled him to get back at Defi de Soy last time out. So I think the Cheltenham Hill will play more into Lost in Translation strength than Defi de Soy. So I think he'll uphold the form. And I think Kildesart, because if you shop around for him, I've seen 12, 14, even 16 to 1 in place for him. So Lost in Translation and Kildesart be my two.
Yeah. Anything for you in this, Rich?
Yeah, I'd be inclined to take on the two at the head of the market. They both seem pretty good at getting beat. I think Lost in Translation has 1 from 7 over last year. Defi de Soy has been beaten twice over fences, both times at Cheltenham. I think they're very opposable. Real Steel is an interesting prospect. Obviously, he's starting to look like an upwardly mobile sort of horse, and Willie does well in this race. But he's about 6 to 1, and I mean, if you're looking at him, you got to look at Paloma Blue, who was beating him when Real Steel fell at Leopardstown, and he's as big as 25 to 1 for this. Yeah. So I'd like to see Paloma Blue in this race. I think it would suit him better, give him time to get his jumping going. And at those sort of odds, he's big price.
Yeah, absolutely. In the end, you got none or no bad in there as well.
Exactly.
Just a reminder, plenty of questions. Keep them coming in. We'll try and get them to our panelists as well. Hashtag WTW Live. We're going to move on to the stairs hurdle shortly. So, Patrick, start with you because we have a question about Faugheen. Do you think Faugheen will be able to get back to anywhere near his best, Patrick? And will he run hopefully run his race here in the stairs?
Yeah, I do. I think... you know, I rode and worked there maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't usually get on him anymore, and I thought he gave me a fantastic feel because I was riding and work before he went to Cheltenham last year, and I just thought he was a different horse 2 or 3 weeks ago. Do you know,
different horse better, or
yeah, like you know, last year in the Champion Herd we ended up putting kind of cheap pieces on him, and you know, he ran like that, and when he got back to 3 miles then in Punchdown, now he did get a freebie there. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. But he got a freebie going a fair gallop. It was just no one lined up beside him. He didn't go slow in front. He went a huge gallop all the way. So he does want 3 miles now. Like obviously at Christmas we didn't learn anything because he fell at the second last. He was very lucky to get up. It was a horrible fall, and it took him 2 or 3 weeks to get over it. Yeah.
Is there a concern that will have left some sort of mark? Or are you happy enough he's all right?
I don't think so. He doesn't appear to have left the mark now. We gave him plenty of time to get over it. Yeah. His age is a worry. Like you know, this race, there's very few older horses win it. It's a young horse's race. But then the odd exceptional horse can win it, and he is an exceptional horse. So I think he's a great bet at each way price, definitely.
Yeah. How do you do that, Nicola?
Yeah, we're not very keen on Paisley Park actually, and is one we were kind of top price at. Just looking at the price now, is shortened into 7 to 4, obviously with all the non-runner no bet coming into effect. Paisley Park and Faugheen, both dreadful results for us. With Paisley Park, he wasn't really mentioned at the start of the season and just keeps being punted. Was available at 6 to 1 after his trial win at Cheltenham. And we haven't obviously seen Faugheen since that heart-stopping fall at Leopardstown, but he seems to be in good form. And yeah, I think it seems to be those two that's attracting the attention.
Good stuff. Gavin, Paisley Park here, 7 to 4 favourite. Is he a little bit underappreciated, or do you think he's around about the right price, given what he's done?
Probably around the right price. If you were getting 2 to 1, he's definitely worth a decent bet. He's only 7. He bolted up in the Cleve Hurdle from West Approach, giving it £6. Third was Black Op. That's as good as they have it, I think, in England. Paisley Park is very, very good. He's improving. I think if you're going to have a decent whack at Paisley Park, it's probably just worth having a small saver on Faheen. I know he's 11, but I just can't see anything else winning the race, to be honest.
And you literally have it down to pretty much 2 horses.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Does anyone kind of disagree with that kind of?
When you look at how close Faheen was to Apple's
Apple's
J,
J,
I mean, you'd have to give. You know, he's run 3 times over 3 miles. He won at Limerick. He beat Penhill at Punchestown last spring. You know, when he was only however many months younger than he is now, and he was banged on her tail at Leopardstown at Christmas. If he's fitting well,
4 times 3 miles.
Point.
No, it's fine.
Who's off Andy Slattery?
So, yeah, I mean, you'd have to give him a life. He's an incredible horse to be thinking that we are talking like that. But yeah.
Ruby said afterwards that he was happy with how the horse was travelling when he came down. I mean, he had asked.
The race hadn't started, so
yeah.
we don't know. Maybe he would have asked and he wouldn't have got close to him, but.
And you look at what she did to Super Sunday, subsequently she destroyed him, and he was right on her tail.
Yeah.
If Faheen was, say, 3 lengths second to Apple's J, that's probably as good a form as Paisley Park winning the Cleve Hurdle by 12, do you know?
Yeah. Andy, do you have, you think it's between those 2 as well? The 2 that, anything else for you on that list?
I'm coming in off my long run with this.
Okay.
I think Ladbrokes are going to have a world of pain by sticking their neck out on Paisley Park. He's my banker of the meeting by some considerable distance. I don't think this is the greatest stayers hurdle we're likely to see. There's going to be a hell of a lot of non-runners on that list. Apple's Jade, Sam Cram, I've been hearing good vibes about him. Super Sunday I think goes to the champion hurdle. Benedict runs elsewhere. Mellon goes in the champion. Black Op, he just doesn't stay. So you're only really left with Faheen as a logical danger to Paisley Park, and I think Aidan Coleman will be chuffed a bit that he's got at least something to shoot at, because that's all he needs. He just needs Paisley Park, just basically a horse to take him down to the last. He hit the front after 2 out, going down to the last on that long run, and that was way too soon for Paisley Park. But Paisley Park still pulled well clear of the field. His time was off the scale. He's basically run the last circuit quicker than the 2 2-mile races on the same card, but pulling up. And he was pricking his ears on the running. Yeah. He got an amazing amount of energy left in his legs. I think he's the best 3-mile I've seen for quite some time. Okay. And I think he'll absolutely destroy this field.
Quick word on Sam Kerr and Richie. We'll leave it with you, because you know you were the heartbeat of the press room. So on Sam Crow, what's the vibe on him? He just might won't run, will he?
I would be surprised, to be honest, if they I mean, if he's as good as they think. I mean, why would you risk him at this stage? You may as well just train for Punchestown and look forward to next season. I would be surprised if they ran him.
What would your thoughts on Sam Crow be, Patrick?
Well, I've heard relatively positive vibes lately, but whether they'll run or not, I'm not sure. But I think 2 of our horses here are great each way bets, Bacardi's and Bapom. I rode Bacardi's in the race last year. I was going to be 3rd at worst when he came down at the last. He does have a habit of doing that.
Yeah. I got a question about Bacardi's as well. So yeah, take it up.
He's a horse with a huge amount of ability, and he ran well at Cheltenham a couple of times. So I think he'd be a big price, and he's more than likely going to show up here. And Bapom as well. He has some very strong form, and you could just see him being ridden to run well and staying on into place. I think the 2 of them are really good each way bets.
Good stuff.
I think Bapom's a decent each way shot, I must admit. That Galway hurdle was Galmore hurdle, was a good race this year on the figures. And
I suppose again going back to see, you could have a Paisley Park shorten up significantly. Could have a cut it each way without.
Look, if you don't fancy Paisley Park and then or you do, you can also bet without the favourite as well. Bapom, I think he's 20-25 to 1 with Paisley Park in. If you're betting without, he'd probably be about 10-12 to 1.
Good stuff.
So that opens up that particular option.
We're going to move on to Ryanair in a moment's time, but just first a reminder about our competition. We'll give you that ultimate subscription to the Racing Post for a year. We've also got those 2 Gold Cup club tickets as well for Cheltenham, and we got the Cheltenham Festival guide for you as well, the Racing Post Cheltenham Festival guide. That's awesome. If you want to get involved, use hashtag WTW Live and we'll pick a winner from those comments or questions. Right, we have a few questions on the Ryanair. Nicola, maybe just start with the prices on this one, because this could be a cracking race.
Yeah, always nice and competitive race, but you never quite know what's going to run. So it's a huge betting race on the day, but anti-post wise, it's always relatively quiet. You have Min and Footpad at the head of the betting at 5-2, 5-1. Moan Lee's 5-1, but sure, where are they going? You just don't know where they're all going to run. Waiting Patiently has been disappointing for Ruth Jefferson, who just hasn't had the ground soft enough for him. He could go on to Aintree instead. Frodon has been nibbled at and looks likely to show up here, I think, and has got a great record at Cheltenham. Frodon's around a 6-1 shot, but if Min shows up, I think he's the bet.
Patrick, will Min show up here? Likely, possibly.
Look, no one that decision going to be made very late. But to me, like Undersow is the most likely to turn up here. It's hard
I was
to
going to say
the 2 miles.
this is his.
So him at 6-1. I mean, he's been to 4 festivals and been in the first 2 at 4 of them. You know, won twice. 6-1 is a huge price about him.
Last day he ran, he chased Tom Altier, didn't he?
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, he hasn't shown that he lost any visibility.
Do you feel like he's one of the most underappreciated horses in your yard, despite what he's achieved, which is actually incredible?
No, I think everyone has a soft spot for Undersow. I mean, you know, he's just Peter Pan of a horse. He has an extraordinary appetite for the game. He absolutely just loves racing, and he understands it. And I just think at 6-1, that's an each way bet to Nottingham. If he runs, I can't see him outside the first.
Again, I mean, often we talk to you about your horse, that they're yards horses. At least you know this horse is going to run in this race. It's pretty much guaranteed. This is where he will turn up.
Yeah,
so when you think about that,
you know, more than likely that's where he's going to be. You know, whereas Min has, you know, the Champion Chase is a big option, and likewise with Footpad. So I just think Undersow is the bet here without a doubt.
Richie, you're a bit of a Waiting Patiently fan.
Yeah.
I'm not using this as a stick to beat you with, but I mean,
I think he's a wonderful horse, and I wouldn't have been too disappointed with his run the last day. I mean, he was up against a rock hard fit Suriname who went out and just turned it on the whole way. He looked like he needed the run, to be honest. You could discount his run in the King George. He got brought down. I thought he looked like he was off it a bit, but he kept finding, and he still beat the rest of them that were in it. You know, he had Fox Norton behind him, he had Politolog, Charbel behind him. I thought it was a good performance, and I'd imagine he'd come on a lot for it, but is he going to run? I don't know. At 6-1, 10-1, you know, available. I think it's a big price, as you say. No bet at this stage. Whether he'll run or not is unknown. Suriname, Min, Monley, Footpad, Frodon. There's possibly none of them going to turn up. Footpad, I'd imagine, would be the one you'd be interested in. I'd like to see Willie run Min in the Champion Chase on his form this year. You know, he's the one who's going to probably push Altier hardest, if anything is going to, and Footpad stays. So I mean, this race would be the obvious option for him, and you could see him winning it. I mean, you look back to the horse he was last year. If they have got him back to that level on good ground over 2.5, I think he'd take a bit of whacking, but it would be Waiting Patiently for me if he runs. I don't know what's going to happen though.
If he runs, when does he turn up? Go on, Andy. Have a crack at the Ryanair. Which one? What do you fancy?
Yeah, lots of ifs and buts. So we don't know the whole full field at the moment. Be interested to see what Henry Bromhead and Connections do with Monolith. I've been a big fan of that horse for a long time. I think he's got a serious amount of talent, but they keep trying to run him over 3 miles. It's like putting a square peg in a round hole with him. He just doesn't get 3 miles. Simple as that. You've only got to see the videos and watch him on the running. He just doesn't get up the hill at Cheltenham. He's run well there. He's run well in Albert Bartlett. He ran well in the RSA, but he just struggles in that extra half a mile. So you know, he looks tailor-made for the Ryanair. If you decide, I mean, how's he going to get 3 mile 2 in a strong run Gold Cup?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a 33-1 shot to win the Gold Cup. If he runs in the Ryanair, it'd be about a 4-1 shot. So why would you want to risk him in the other race, only for the prestige?
Would you wait till the day to back him, or is the kind of horse?
Well, I backed him at the post, so I'm hoping this video gets to Henry Bromhead.
Henry Bromhead's a massive fan of the show. I heard he loves
probably
it,
takes absolutely no notice of what I'm saying.
I find that hard to believe.
But yeah, if he does run, I think he's going to be there or thereabouts. He's a front runner, or he goes well from the front. He was good in the Red Mills the other day. He jumps well, and the fact that he does stay beyond, I think, is always important. You know,
and the cell tow around, you're fine.
Pardon?
And the cell tow him around, you'll be okay.
Absolutely, yeah. So Monolith, straightforward if he runs, yeah.
And good, Gavin. Thoughts?
I'd say Monolith has to run here. It's just
the only race he can run in.
Yeah, can't run the Gold Cup, and would have a chance. Waiting Patiently would have a chance, but definitely needs proper soft ground, which seems very unlikely at this stage. Look, process of elimination on decent ground, I'd say Min. I know he got beat in Aintree, but this year he won the John Durkan. He was very impressive again in the Dublin Racing Festival. I just wish he was more than 5-2. If he was 3-1, Nicola might just get us 3-1. But he'd have a good chance on good ground, yeah.
Yeah, any thoughts on Frodon? By the way, do you think he could run in this, or should he run the Gold Cup?
It's another one, isn't it, really? I mean, he's got a better chance, obviously, if he runs in the Ryanair, but the prestige of the Gold Cup is too big of a lure for Connections. You know, they're going to be obviously duped into thinking of the 3 mile one on the when he won last time out. Oh yeah, he'll get the goal, but it's going to be a totally different ball game. You know, he uncontested lead last time out in a small field. He's not going to get to the front of the Gold Cup. We know that. We know Native River's going to go off and make everything hurt in the race.
Absolute plough,
so I can't see Frodon outstaying a horse. Well, several decent horses in the Gold Cup. So if he were mine, I'd run him in the Ryanair.
Question in about Road to Respect. Richie, have you heard any vibes that Road to Respect might run in this, or is anyone?
No, I'd run the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I would have thought
he ran
so.
a big race in the Gold Cup last year. I couldn't see him not running in it again.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Patrick, quick question for you about the JLT. Camellia Ducat, is she a potential runner in that, or would you prefer to keep her against her own sex over fences, which there isn't a race for at the festival?
Yeah, there's a couple of options for her. There is a nice black type mare's novice, I think, in Limerick, and whether she's quite a keen going mare. Whether 2.5 might stretch her in a race like that. You know, against the mares, there's not really to go on and take her on, whereas there probably would be in that. So I'm not sure that would be the best race for her, but it hasn't been confirmed yet.
Okie doke. Well, we'll keep that theme running as it started. Won't be too surprised if that happens. Look, quick word.
How will Willie cope with the 48-hour decks all around this year?
Well, yeah, I won't be living with him this year.
Quick word on the Mares Novices Hurdle. Obviously, quite a big Irish potential connection. You got the likes of Sonoria and Honeysuckle, but Epatante was really eye-catching the last day. How did they bet, Nicola?
Yeah, actually, in the last hour or so, Epatante has become favourite at 5-2. She made a 2 from 2 for Nikki at Exeter last weekend and became joint favourite with Honeysuckle. Again, it's really between those two as betting-wise. Honeysuckle's 3-1 and enhanced her credentials after Ferry House, so very hard to separate them at the minute.
Yeah, Richie, a couple of entries for Honeysuckle. She's got a few handicap entries as well, just to sort of muddy the waters a little bit. But if she runs here, of the 2 Henry Drummond horses, who would you with?
And
you think they
Sonoria,
could beat
and they're both rated the same. Sonoria is considerably bigger. She's taken on the geldings every time she's run over hurdles, and beat Chosen Mate, who's come out and won since then in a Grade 2. At the odds, you'd have to keep Sonoria on side, I think, definitely.
Yeah. Patrick, would you have runners in this, or is anything catches the eye?
Yeah, I see we have a fleet of them. I think my sister Sarah is probably overpriced. You know, she's
done well, hasn't she?
She has. She's only beaten once, and I think she was unlucky that day. She beat Western Leader the last day. Obviously not as impressively as Honeysuckle did, but I think she's better than that. I think our horses weren't running to their best, and she was still running well. I think she's about 25-1. That's a huge price. Salsaretta is another mare. She was disappointing in this last year, but she didn't have a great prep. I managed to fall off her in Leopardstown the last day, so we didn't get to learn an awful lot. But she was working really well before that, and her defeat of Felix Desney. Now, while it was 2.5 miles on heavy grounds, I don't think Felix Desney ran to his best. It wouldn't be his optimum conditions. That's still a fair level of form, and she's 20.
Oh yeah, if you're working at one of the sales rings, it'd be a serious piece of form to be thrown out there, wouldn't it?
So you know, I think there are 2 mares that at 20-1, they're very big prices for 2 mares that we think a lot of.
Yeah, absolutely. Gavin, anything for you in the Mares Novice?
I think Epatante will be a gamble. I think that'll be 7-4, maybe in a week's time. I could see Honeysuckle drift now to 5-1. Yeah, and that'll be fantastic value. Won the point-to-point. One it's maiden over 2.5, stays well. It showed good gears to beat Sassy Diva over 2 mile in Thurles. And then it won the Grade 3 Solarina Mares Novice Hurdle that Lorena won last year. Won very, very easy. Took it up probably too far out. But Sonoria or Honeysuckle have a great chance. I think if Honeysuckle drifts out in the next week, I think then each way that's a great price.
Good stuff. Anything else on the Thursday cards, maybe in the handicaps? Andy, we'll start with you.
I'll be keen on a couple in the Kim Muir. Now, I noticed that Connections of a horse called Kilfinham Cross did the old corral trick and booked Derek O'Connor the other day to win a race in Ludlow. Yeah. That horse absolutely flew round in a protracted duel horse called Ulan Boot. So much so that they ran a good deal quicker than the 2 mile handicaps on the same card. That comes out of a good race as well that you talked to the time before, which is working out well. I'd be very interested if he runs in the Kim Muir along with a horse called Measure of My Dreams. I noticed that one having a a nice little run out the other day.
Did you ever see him jump? We used to have him.
But he, to be fair, he ran well in the 4 mile a few years ago, so he's got Cheltenham form. He'd be one that I'd be interested on with the top pilot. And the per attempts on the same day, I've had a couple of bets off the per attempts qualifier at Leopardstown, which astonishingly produced 2 horses that ran the last circuit quicker than Apple's Jade.
What?
Namely, Walk to Freedom and Sire de Burley.
Okay.
Who was last going out into the final circuit and rattled home to finish as never near a 6th.
Sixth is a good position.
Hasn't run
to be in the
since.
top 6, don't they?
Yeah, I know exactly. Oh, just sneaked into 6th. Very similar to Glendale last year. Flew under the radar, caught the eye, did an unbelievable circuit time. Obviously better than that. Ran well in the boys' race last year, I think, didn't he? Did he finish 4th in the boys' race?
He's
Beyond
a
blow
pound higher this time, I think.
Unfortunately, the British handicap has been very unkind to Walk to Freedom, so I've been told. I think he's been put up £11.
Yeah.
So if you're weight to measured, man, you'll be absolutely sick as a dog with that. But those are the 2, based on those numbers at Leopardstown, out of that qualifier, which has thrown up the winner before.
Walk to Freedom
and Jessica Harrington's and Sire de Burley. I think they're better than what they showed that day.
Good. So, Patrick, do you have a ride in the Kimure? Or?
I'm not sure. We've a few entered. We've never won a handicap chase at the Cheltenham Festival. So that'd be a stat to try and break. Live, Love, Laugh's a horse I'd love to get on. He ran really well in the Leopardstown Chase the last day. He'd have enough weight for me as well, which is a big advantage. But he's entered in a few different places, so I'll be trying to get Willie to run him here.
We're going to call this doing a Ballyword.
Yeah. And if he doesn't, I'd love to get back on a horse called Sky Pirate, who I rode in November for John Joe Neal. He got brought down to second last, going to run well. And I just thought he might run well here if he goes here.
Someone texted in as well, asked about opportunities for amateurs at the festival. And thought, do you think there are enough? Obviously, maybe you'd prefer more, but 2 races.
No, the 3 races. Yeah, the Kimure, the National Chase, and the Fox Hunters. So
3 races.
It's fantastic that we're well looked after. But I think there's a lot of tradition there, and I think it's a great opportunity for jockeys coming through. So it's fantastic. Yeah.
And do you think it's important to retain those traditions, I guess, as well?
Oh, without doubt. When you see the amount of good jockeys that have come from being amateurs, it's a huge step for people. Yeah,
absolutely. Samway Cohen, want to go Cup. Gavin, Thursday, handicap certainties, please.
Speaking of tradition, it's a pity they've got rid of the Hunter's Chase from the Leopardstown Racing Festival.
Yeah.
Did you?
We'd be lobbying to get that back.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. It'd be great to get that back.
Yeah, I thought that was a great race every year. Sire de Burley, I'd say he'll be a gamble again. Another JP one. He's 7s or 8s. The minute I could see him going off 4-1, and it's hard to oppose. In the Kimure, Jamie Codd I think has won it 4 times. He might be right. Maybe it's all guesswork. He may not get in off 133. If that gets in, I'd like that. But if that doesn't get in, maybe Measure My Dreams. There was an eye catch recently, as Andy said in Fairy House.
Yeah, cool. And give us a one selection for Thursday. So out from JLT, Ryanair, Dunner and Mares.
There was one in the Brown Advisory I thought might be worth a mention, but I don't know what he's going to run in. Hardline. There's a possibility he'll run him in the Arkle. He's also in the Grand Annual, but he beat Getterbird at Limerick in the Grade in the Grade 1 at Limerick. He was placed behind Labagara, having got detached and stormed home. And he beat us and them at Navan earlier in the year. He's got very good form. If he got in here he's in off 11-4. And there's big fancy odds about him. I think he'd be a big player, but again, what's he going to run?
That's Hardline? Hardline. Good stuff. Right, so 1 for Thursday. Go on, 1 each for Thursday. That's a reminder. JLT, Ryanair, Stairs Hurdle, Mares Novice Park.
There you go.
Paisley Park, Stairs Hurdle. Nicola?
Min in the Ryanair.
Patrick?
I think undersold each way is it's a great bet.
Donkin bet. Richie?
We'll stick with Hardline.
Stick with Hardline. And Andy?
Yeah, straightforward stuff. Paisley Park for me.
Paisley Park. It sounds like you think he's won the bets of the week.
Oh, without doubt, yeah.
Yeah?
By a mile.
Okay, that's good. Good. Right, reminder about our competition. Of course, you can win 2 tickets for club tickets as well for the Gold Cup, not just any ticket. 2 tickets for the Gold Cup. We got the ultimate membership as well for a year of Racing Post online, and of course the this little Bible for you as well, the Racing Post Cheltenham Festival Guide, which of course will give us all those winners galore, just like our panel here this evening. Right, let's move on to the Friday action. Start with the JCB Triumph Hurdle, and perhaps, Gavin, this could be one of the Irish Bankers of the Week, Sir Eric.
Yeah, he's a jet.
Oh, he's a monster, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a jet. Lift him, I call him.
Yeah?
Because he's a full horse, so he's going over the hurdles, he has to lift them. all you have to think about is Fakir Duderee beats
sorry.
beats Ajali by 13 lengths. Ajali was within a short head of Keldistan and Chepstow. He's the second favourite of whatever 7 or 8 to 1. They're not running Fakir Duderee in the Triumph because Sir Eric is definitely better. So, and even if his form on the flat, he was 109 in the flat. He's plenty of form on soft ground. If the ground turned up soft, he'd be a bigger certainty.
Yeah.
So
I think 109. I think he's better than 109.
It's 2 mile 1, the Triumph hurdle. It's the new track. 2 hurdles in the last 7 furlongs. It's obviously a staying race. He's very hard to oppose.
Nicola, how did he bet for this? Sir Eric here, 11 to 10 now.
It is. We very much expect Sir Eric to assume that Irish banker role in the Triumph, and then we're going to be fearing the repercussions of multiples involving presenting Percy as well. The Friday of Cheltenham's the biggest day in terms of turnover. Now, as you said, 11 to 10, still a backable price, but it could get shorter because looking, if some of his rivals get rerouted. Fakir Duderee is 5 to 1. Keldistan and Nichols is having a great season. Is the biggest challenger, I think, at 8 to 1. He's already won a grade 2 at Cheltenham and has gone on to win 3 more since then. So I think that's the one to challenge Sir Eric, perhaps.
Go on. Patrick, to challenge Sir Eric? Tiger Tap Tap, is he?
Yeah, Tiger Tap Tap got very close to him at Christmas, and we expected him to run a huge race at the Dublin Race Festival, and disappointed. Now, I think he ran below form there, and I think I'd rather prefer to think that his true level of form is his Christmas run. So I think he's a great each way price.
Was he 14 to 1 there on that sheet? So yeah, 14 to 1.
Yeah, I think that's a great bet. Sir Eric is very hard to beat. I'd love to see him win. I'd love to see him go on and be a stallion. The French do that. The French do that a lot.
What a great story. I mean, this horse could go back and have a crack at one of the cups next year, and then
he's 2.5 lengths off Stradivarius last summer. But Guillaume McCare regularly trains horses and makes stallions of them. Robin the Shams, Saint the Saints, Balco. So it'd be great to see that happen in Ireland. I think Sir Eric was very hard to beat, but Tiger Tap Tap got very close to him. I think 14-1's a big price.
Richie, can you look past Sir Eric?
No, I disagree with Patrick on Tiger Tap Tap. I thought Ruby was brilliant on him the first day because I didn't think he looked happy a lot of the way, and Ruby was squeezing and he got an excellent run out of him, and I wasn't surprised to see Sir Eric come forward more than him. I couldn't have Tiger Tap Tap. Sir Eric is, look, if you can consider a juvenile a banker, he's as close as you're going to get, and I'd echo what Gavin said about Ajali on a line through him. It's probably not wise to take it too literally in relation to Keldistan, but Sir Eric, we've seen Joseph basically do it with Ivanovic Gorbatov a couple of years ago, albeit in Aidan's name. He's hard to oppose.
It's quite an incredible story for Joseph as well. I mean, he's 5 legitimate chances of a winner this week.
Incredible.
At least.
I'd just like to ask Andy, on my view on the race, Dublin Race Festival, I think they went very slow. So Eric got to set the pace in front, turn it into a sprint, which is why he looks so impressively, whereas I think a big field at Christmas, it was a far more strongly run affair. Would the times bear that out?
Bang on, yeah. Controlled it better, yeah.
Yeah, but Joseph, I was speaking to Joseph about that, and his angle on that was that he thought Sir Eric obviously his stamina is his forte, and he thought the race, albeit he was able to dictate, would have counted against him because they went so slow, even though he was doing the dictating.
It might be against flat horses, not against jumping horses.
True, yeah. But look, you're talking around the subject, really, aren't we? I mean, he's very hard to oppose.
Yeah, I don't say anything about him. Quick thoughts on the Albert Bartlett. How did they bet for the Albert Bartlett, Nicola?
Yeah, 6 to 1 Battle over Doyen, Commander of Fleet 7 to 1, Lisnagar Oscar is in there at 8 to 1, and Dickie Diver is a 10 to 1 shot. The only one we've seen a few quid for is Rebecca Curtis's Lisnagar Oscar, who got the better of Dickie Diver last time out. I respect both of them. I really like Dickie Diver, who won at Chepstow since then, and this trip looks good for him, and I think he's going to run a big race. The worst result actually baffles me. Rock Point at 33 to 1 for Colin Tizard, who it doesn't take much to make him a bad result, but it doesn't look up to much, so we're not going to lose too much sleep over that. Okay,
Patrick, is there any horse in this could lose sleep over perhaps? The one you mentioned earlier, but more likely to win the Ballymore.
Yeah, look, Allaho is a possibility here, and if he does turn up, he'd be well worth a bet. I mean, Carefully Selected is the one we had penciled in for it all year, and he's 100%, he's in full training, but we just haven't got round to...
What will he do now with him at this stage of the season?
It's tricky. He's too old to run in the
bumper.
So whether he is your stereotypical old-fashioned chasing sort, so perhaps you go and win a maiden hurdle at the end of the season and go chasing next year. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know,
similar situation. Blackbow. So, question came in about him. What's the story with Blackbow?
They're both in training, but it's just we might just have to just write off the season and go again next year. It's been that kind of it's been very strange. Yeah.
I mean, what is there you can do about that sort of for next year? Is there anything you can change, or you just sort of gotta look to the sky and hope?
Yeah, I mean, you'd be very surprised if it was the same sort of winter again. Look, it's erring on the side of caution, but they're big chasing horses, and we just haven't got suitable ground. Good stuff.
Anything quickly in the Albert Bartlett for you, Angie?
Sometimes performances without doing the numbers just blow your eyes out. And as soon as he went past the line at Haydock, I thought Lisnagar Oscar will win the Albert Bartlett. And then I've gone on and added a few more layers onto the cake, and his time figures were just sensational when he won that day. I mean, he just looks so strong throughout. He jumped great. He just looks as though he's got an amazing mental attitude towards the game. The further he went, the better he looked. He ran the last circuit quicker than the 2 mile juvenile, Kel Destan. So we know he's got speed as well as stamina. And of course, he's trained by Rebecca Curtis, who won the race for that Fisher's Cross, a very similar type. And he's also got Cheltenham Festival form. You often get as well with horses that win this, have got lots of previous experience. It catches out horses that haven't had a lot of runs, and particularly Lisnagar Oscar, having already had a run over the course and distance. That's going to stand him in good stead. So 7-1, he's probably gained one of my strongest views of the whole week.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything for you, Gavin, quickly?
I agree with Patrick, but Allaho has a great chance winning the graded hurdle the last day, and Clonmel was impressive on only his second start over hurdles. Previously had a run in Otay over hurdles. Dinon's a horse who's 20-25-1. He's had 7 runs over hurdles. He won some summer novice hurdles last year, and then he bolted up in an average, say, 3 mile novice hurdle at Cheltenham at the back end. He got brought down in Navan at the third last when he was travelling well. I just think at the price, it's always a help, as opposed to Allaho, it's a help to have some experience. So Dinon's at a big price has a good chance.
Yeah, good stuff. Sorry, just a quick question. You asked about traditions earlier, Patrick, and do you see the festival been extended ultimately to go 5 days, like similar to Ascot? Do you think it'll happen?
God, I hope not.
Yeah, you hope not.
I do. Yeah, I think you know, I think 4 days is perfect.
Yeah. Do you think ultimately just be diluted if it went to?
I think so. To be honest, I think it could even, 4 days is really pushing it. To be honest, yeah. It's fine as it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you hear those involved saying that, you know, it's all very well the likes of me giving out about it.
Absolutely.
I'm not
you don't have to get up as early as he does.
Whereas Patrick is anxious for winners, same as Willie. Yeah. And when they're saying it's enough as it is, I think that tells it.
You'll end up with a 4 miler from Ayres.
4 miler from Ayres.
For amateur riders.
And more opportunities, Patrick. More opportunities. Right, we're going to move on to the Gold Cup. Really looking forward to this. Before I kind of start in the Gold Cup, the ground, Patrick, let me ask you, what have you heard so far? How do you expect the ground to be, or predictions about the ground, the way it will be, maybe over the course of the week?
I read today that they've done a bit of selective watering. I think Simon Clace he's a brilliant groundsman. He'll have the ground well watered. It'll be safe. I think this dry winter will have the ground in better condition than usual. Cheltenham, they race there an awful lot during the winter, and actually it can be quite. Quite a lot of old ground there, and I think this year it'll probably be in better condition than most other years. Yeah.
Right, let's move on to the Gold Cup. How did they bet, Nicola?
Well, presenting Percy is the 11-4 favourite. Punters absolutely love this horse, but as it stands, it's not a bad result, I suppose, because he doesn't run that often. But there doesn't seem to be any concerns whatsoever over match fitness. And on the day, of course, he's going to be a nightmare result. King George winner, Clandazobo's 4-1. I know Nichols has high hopes for him. And last year's winner, Native River, is in there at 6-1. And Colin Tizard is actually coming out and saying he should probably be favourite at his media day. I think Kenboy has had a great season and put in a huge performance at Leopardstown at Christmas. And again, if the ground was good, I would definitely consider him as my bet at 6-1.
Patrick, obviously it's a race you guys, as would any stable, absolutely love to win. But I mean, this year, arguably your best 3 darts to throw in it.
I don't know if you'd say that.
4?
Yeah, 4 possibly. They're all very good horses. 3 of them are Grade 1 winners. Invitation only. Obviously, a Test is winner, like On His Own and Jack and Allen, who both hit the crossbar. Bell's Hill, he's a beautiful looking horse. He's no oil painting of a horse. You know, his best form more consistently is going right-handed, but obviously he did a fantastic performance the last day in Leopardstown. But he's been to Cheltenham 3 times. He was below par in the bumper. He was below par in Speed Novices. Now they were 2 miles and perhaps just too short. And then as a novice last year, he was, or 2 years ago, he was probably maybe not in his best. So that is a worry with him.
Yeah.
You know, is it his favourite track? Possibly not. However, he is going to go on the new course this year rather than the old course for his other previous 3 runs. Kemboy, he's been there twice before and kind of just been 4th and 5th. So he does look a better chaser. He's improved all through the season. I thought he got a fabulous ride at Christmas. I thought David Mullins, it was that for me was one.
So was that all David, by the way? Because were the rumours that your dad wasn't delighted with when it happened, and then
yeah, well, look, the horse can be quite keen. So David dropped him in as they went past the stands. The pace slackened. He's on the outside. He's got no cover. The horse has to get keen. So he's got 2 options. He can start to fight the horse and keep him in the correct place and come back in, and if he gets
potentially inefficient, though.
Yeah, but if he comes back in and just say, oh, he was too keen, that's, you know, what can you do? Instead, he's taken a chance to let the horse go forward without fighting him. And when the horse got the front, he's relaxed, and then he's slowed it up, and it's turned into a sprint from the back of the second last, and he's won very well. He's going to have to step up again, no doubt about that. Invitation Only obviously is improving, but he'd have to step up. And Album Photo is the most interesting one. I think every time he's ran over fences, he's improved. I think his performance in Tramore probably went under the radar because it was in Tramore, but I thought that was a huge performance, given a lot of weight to Total Recall and beating Invitation Only Alfred Zobo way back in 3rd or 4th. They finished 1st and 2nd on the test days. He obviously fell last year in the RSA, but he hadn't a whole lot of experience in a lifetime going into that.
Yeah.
I think he's improving. I think he's probably the one, if I had the choice, he's probably the one I'd ride.
Is there a pecking order?
Well, it'll be up to Ruby and Paul to split them up, but there doesn't appear to be much between them at the moment. My thing is that I just think Album Photo is a bit like Kemboy, I suppose, but Album Photo is improving all the time.
So, if David gets Kemboy, because it'd be a bit unfair, or would the boys be able to just say no?
Well, look, sure, Willie will decide all that, but I mean, Ruby will have first choice and Paul will be second choice.
And then you might get the other one?
Well, we'll see. Danny and David are there, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, we'll see how the week is panning out, I guess. The one story has dominated this race, and that's the campaigning of the favourite, who's now, you know, he hasn't run over fences since last year. How awkward is that for you, Richie?
This race would give you a migraine looking at it, because there are so many imponderables and different strands to it. Presenting Percy obviously is the outstanding candidate in many respects. He's the coming horse. He was absolutely sublime there last year, but he hasn't run over fences this year. He was brilliant at Gorham Park. But these things get booked. You know, they don't happen because people don't try it very often. You look at Native River last year, he won on the back of 1 run. That hadn't been done for a long time. You look at Coneygree, he was the first novice since Captain Christie to win it. He had only run 3 times over fences before he won the Gold Cup. This fella's run 5 times over fences. He's won a Porterstown. He ran the Red Mills Chase. He was superb there last year. So it's not an experience thing, it's a sharpness thing you'd be a little bit concerned about. It's just a fascinating race. When you look at Kemboy and Album Photo as well, you can make cases for so many of them. They're progressive chasers, which is what you want to see. Even Invitation Only, he won at highest days off 152. I think Patrick might confirm Jackalam won off 145.
A lot.
And we were going crazy about that at the time. So I mean, that's a hell of a performance off 152. I couldn't have Bellsill myself. I didn't like the way he kind of balked in the Irish National last year. But it's and then we haven't discussed Clandis-Obo.
Yeah, Clandis-Obo, Roger Speck, Native River. Like, it's a hell of a race.
An unbelievably good race.
Might bite. Like, he was.
Where do you stop? Like, you know, but Presenting Percy, they've taken an unconventional route. The price is the off-putting bit. If he was 5-1 or so, you'd be all over him. But he's 11-4. I find it hard to oppose him, to be honest. But there are so many question marks.
Yeah.
You know, I just about side with him.
Yeah. I'll give you 11-4. You get an interview with the trainer after. Go on. Go
20
on.
to 1.
Gavin, who are you gonna bet in this? What a race! I mean,
I think
the
this
Blue
is
Ribbon
why-
event. This is surely is this the best Gold Cup in your lifetime?
It's the best Gold Cup in the last 10 years.
Steady
I
on,
think.
Last
steady on.
Yeah, no, it's got great
He's
quality.
I'm letting on he's young.
Quality and quantity. I think this is why National Hunt racing is better than flat racing. This or the Champion Hurdle will be the best race in 2019.
But isn't that exactly what you want? That the
Yeah,
two
it's
marquee
just-
races are genuinely strength in depth.
Yeah, fantastic races. I think Frodon running or not is going to play a big part in this race because of the pace. If he doesn't run, Native River is going to get a solo perhaps up front. Last year was a quagmire when he won. I can't see him winning this year if it's good to soft. The betting is all wrong. Clandas Obo is favouring the exchanges and will be favoured next week or the week after. Presenting Percy, I think, will SP at 5 to 1. And I think the bet is to back Presenting Percy and running after maybe 4 or 5 fences. See, is he in a rhythm? See how he's jumping. Maybe even after a circuit, you could get still 4 or 5 to 1 and running with a circuit to go. And if he's jumping well, I think maybe back him at that stage.
Patrick, apart from the 4, what horse would you most like to ride in this race?
Oh,
Apart from the 4, Willie, sorry.
Yeah. Without doubt, Present Percy, I have no doubt he'll get into rhythm and jump well. You know, Pat's horses are very well schooled. I rode Maldini, and he's as good a jumper as I ever rode. It's a fascinating race, hugely competitive. I'd love to see, if ours can't win it, I'd love to see Presenting Percy win it. I think it'd be a great story.
Quite a few questions coming in about Might Bite. Maybe Andy, as the British envoy here.
Talk about Might Bite. There's not a lot of positives to say about him.
Yeah,
really,
I mean, literally just taking Nicky Henderson's
he looks
word
as though
on
he's
it.
seen a ghost at Haydock.
Yeah.
And you know, he was poor in the King George, so he's 1,000,000 to 1 on the back of that run. I think this is a great race, by the way. You know,
Yeah.
it is the pinnacle of the week, and it's a spine-tingling event. Even if you don't have a bet, I actually just enjoy this race for pure spectacle. It's a race I don't normally get heavily involved in because I kind of having a decent bet on the race rather ruins my enjoyment of it.
You've already made your money at that stage, Andy.
Exactly,
You just enjoy, sit back and relax.
Obviously, tactics is going to play a huge part. The ground's going to play a huge part. If it's genuinely soft, we know that.
Assuming there's a fair bit of water on it, can you see Native River attempting similar tactics to what he did last year? And if he did, do you think he could go and...
Yeah, I thought he ran a huge race in the King George. He hated the track. He didn't like going right-handed, and then yet he still bravely ran on into third. I think he'll turn the form around with Clanner as a bow because he'd be off in front, he'd be into a rhythm, and he just pushes horses into areas they don't like. And last year, nothing could get anywhere near them. But Presenting Percy, he's just so good, isn't he? He was brilliant in the RSA. He's ridden by a genius, Davy Russell. He'll get him jumping, get him into a rhythm. His time figure in the Ballymore hurdle was sensational for a horse having his first run on bad ground. I mean, he's gone quicker than the 2
How
milers.
bad was that ground at Corin that day, Patrick? You rode.
Where Presenting Percy went and where our Blue Sari went, the bumper wasn't that bad.
No.
Oh, okay.
We went quite wide.
Yeah, there was 4 or 5 horses went wide that day. The ones went round the
Horse on the
swamp.
inside didn't count.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were 1,000,000, weren't they?
Still would have been the softest ground all season, nearly, would it? Or would it?
It would have been nicer than most ground, yeah. It was nicer than most ground.
Softest, Patrick. Nicest.
Yeah.
Well, I thought, to be fair, I thought he won it in Garum with his ears pricked.
Yeah,
He was actually waiting for the others to come back out.
beautiful performance.
Yeah, he just did enough.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've seen before, he's trying to just get them ready, doesn't he? Even though we have doubts, he hasn't won over fences for a while, but I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. I'll be very... I mean,
And he won the Pertemps as well.
Exactly, yeah. He's just such a brilliant horse around Cheltenham, and you just know he's going to be ready on the day. I think Road to Respect is definitely worth just a mention, a cursory mention. He was 4th last year, respectably. Belzil obviously beat him last time out, but for some reason he just kept jamming on all the way down the back, and he kept losing length after length after length after length, and in the end that took its toll in the end, and Belzil...
Do you think that was a ground issue because, like, it was such quick ground? You can just see how staying chases just wouldn't let themselves down on it.
I think it was a combination of two. I don't know what the lads think, but he wouldn't necessarily want to be in front.
Yeah.
And obviously with the ground as it was, like I say, he was just having a little bit of a stare. But he must have given away, I counted, at least 6 to 7 sort of lengths here and there and everywhere. And to only get beat in the end, was it by half a length by Bells? I thought it was an amazing run. And coincidentally, even though there was only 3 runners in that race, incredibly, they were way, way quicker all the way round than like Bagger Roy did in the 2.5 mile novice chase. And she's obviously a good big time operator. So they were actually trapping along at a decent pace, given you think, well, this is just a man's gallop. So they've run to a good standard, even though it was a small field. And I think with a genuine ease in the ground, I think Road to Respect, who was unlucky as well the time before when he nearly got knocked over at the bend and then slipped up on the corner. I think he's probably the one that's sort of like dangling under the surface.
The amount of times you file him under unlucky, though, you'd want plenty of juice in the price.
You have to factor that in. But like I say, you know, if somebody gives me like 3 or 4 places on the day and he's like 7 or 2 for a place, I'd certainly have a look at that. But Presenting Percy, he's rock solid. Normally, I'd like to take on a favourite as a pro punter. That's what you normally do. Yeah. Can this favourite get beat? Is he worth taking on? In this instance, I think he's rock solid in every department.
Yeah, right.
Just strictly on form this season, Kimboy, it really is the outstanding candidate. Like, he beat Monolly, he beat Bells Hill and Road to Respect the last day. I mean, that's the best form in the book when you look at what they've done since. It's the most outstanding bit of form, I think. And he's a coming horse. Now, I'm a Presenting Percy fan, but if you were to, if you're looking at one of slightly bigger odds, Kimboy is the one that we're probably still underestimating a little bit.
Good. Patrick, a couple of questions for you, maybe just talking about the Gold Cup. Is this a jockey's favourite race to ride, a Gold Cup, just because of the prestige or the way it runs, or is it? And another, extension onto that, because it's such a deep race and a decent field, how much pressure is there on jockeys, like, to make sure they get their tactics spot on?
Well, for me, the Grand National is the race to ride in. I've been lucky to ride in this race 3 times, and from what I've taken from it's just not a race. At the end of the day, it's just a 3-mile 2 race around Cheltenham. It's the same course we ride in the Kinmore.
The Cheltenham PR people aren't listening. It's fine.
No, but as a jockey, it is just another race. Once you're down to start, there's just horses and normal fences. Whereas the Grand National is different, and you can sense that. For me, the Gold Cup is just another steeplechase. To ride in.
What was the lowest priced horse you rode? Did you ride a horse with a squeak? I mean, that's probably the thing. I mean, if you're down at the start on a Presenting Percy or a Cato Star, it's a big, it's a big difference. I mean, and that's why you can often see if someone give an outsider an ice cool ride and say it's a brilliant ride, but there's no pressure. Yeah. Lord Windermere even, he wasn't fancy.
To do it on a fancy one is a different thing altogether. But I think most doctors tell you that, just once you're down there and you're in the zone, it is just another race. You don't jump off and think, wow, we're going way faster than normal, or
And is it like a jockey will know what chance the horse has? Is that the element of pressure rather than, as Richie said, well, the horse is 50 to 1, you can just hunt around and I think he gets a bonus. It's the element that, like, you're on a Presenting Percy and it is a Gold Cup and this is his first chase start in a year. Yeah. And are they the things that make the pressure rather than the actual?
Well, I think that the good fellas don't think about that. I think the good fellas just go down and do the job. And it's not for the jockey. If the horse hasn't run in the air, that's not for the jockey to. That's the trainer's job to have him fit. It's only your job to go and get him around.
Is that what you're saying when you come back in?
No, but you can't do anything about that. You have to go out and ride the race as if he's.
But the best would come into their own in that situation. Your Rubies and your Russells and your Geraghties, whereas other lads would, rabbit in the headlights kind of stuff and so on. Those boys are just when the expectation is greatest. They're so good.
They're so used to it. They do it every year. So they're a different class.
Because if we're nearly about to wrap, we'll have our competition winner shortly. But quick thoughts on the Gold Cup. Go on, give us your Gold Cup winner from the end, Gavin.
Presenting Percy.
I think we could have right clean sweep. Go on.
Camboy for me.
Camboy for you, Patrick.
I think.
Who do you think and who do you hope?
I think Presenting Percy will be very difficult to beat.
I hope it's a 4-way dead heat.
I hope one of ours. But I think he's the best horse in the race.
Yeah.
Echo that.
Presenting Percy.
Yeah, such a pro. Presenting Percy.
Okie doke. Yeah. Look at that.
Easy.
The favourite in the big race.
Are we kind of over? Like, are we?
It's mad. Like,
it's such a deep renewal.
Not from forward Cheltenham. Paul Nichol's been in record saying he's maybe a bit better going right-handed, but maybe is he over that or not? We don't know.
Why are Nichols's horse running so much better since November? Like, this Surname and Clannazobo have just suddenly become extraordinary horses.
Have you a theory on it?
I don't, but it's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and when he has these horses, he runs so good at them.
He is
so good at them. Like, he runs them in the right races. He runs them against each other, and you would give the likes of Clannazobo an extra squeak because it's his. Yeah. He just gets the races right with them.
Quick thoughts on the Friday handicaps. Before we talk on the Friday handicaps, Nicola, Ladbrokes, what horses are Ladbrokes most afraid of and the biggest liabilities for the week?
Over the whole week, okay, well, definitely Sir Eric. and Tiger Roll and Champ are probably, and Santini as
Oh,
well.
you mentioned OK Corral to me before as well, didn't you? Yeah.
They'd be, at the top of my head, the ones
Okey
that I
doke.
think are
So
going to be the worst
what's the
liabilities.
fourfold you need again? Sir Eric, OK Corral, Santini,
And Tiger Roll.
Tiger Roll. Okay, make sure you stick those fourfolds on it, Ladbrokes. I'll be absolutely delighted with you.
Cheers.
All right, Friday handicaps. County Hurdle, Patrick will Wicklow Brave going that?
Possibly, but he doesn't seem to be showing his best form over 2 miles anymore. I thought Whiskey Sour was interesting. He ran very well in the race last year. He's only 2 or 3 pounds higher.
That'd be some double for Luke.
Yeah.
You're down Whiskey Sour double.
I think he's had a little break. He's been freshened up, and the fact he's just nearly the same mark as he was last year. I think he's a big price.
Good stuff. Gavin, Friday.
Just give you 2 stats, can I?
Yeah, go for it, yeah. Go on, you've been sitting on this all night. Go on, go. You've been dying to tell me this. Go on. I didn't take it either. Go on.
Over the last 6 years, 85% of handicaps have been won by novices or second season novices. Now, I'm not including the Close brothers in that. I'm not including the Friend to Winter to stack the percentages even better. So 85%. And of the handicap hurdles of the last 6 years, again, not including the Friend to Winter, 18 of 24 have been won by 5 or 6 year olds. So stick to younger horses.
Does that
handicaps.
suggest the handicapper not doing his job correctly?
Well, you see, I heard somebody, it was James Willoughby, recently saying that the more handicaps you run in, the less chance you have of winning.
Yeah.
Eventually. Because you will go up if you keep winning. So if you're running as a 5 or 6 year old in Cheltenham, you win more races because you probably haven't even ran in a handicap, or perhaps you ran in one, you know.
You're
naturally
exposed and you're on the up. I mean, you've got
You're
to
on the up,
in your
yeah.
hand.
What's
It's very
that
hard
big-
to assess that, like.
That big Betfair handicap is all novices win it lately, and is that fair? Does that not mean, is that fair?
Well, I seen the Ger Lyons who was making a similar point about your yard on the flat, where you would have horses who naturally develop later and they're using their flat marks, having been over hurdles for a long time, whereas he is running his flat horses constantly in handicaps, and therefore they're going up at that level.
It's slightly different. They be horse having their first run for us.
But sorry, basically on the flip side of what you're saying.
Well, no, I mean it's to me like every horse should have an equal chance, but it doesn't appear to be that. It appears to be you have to be a novice or a younger horse. We have plenty of novices and younger horses. We've plenty of handicap hurdles.
Yeah.
My point is, does the handicap system need to change to reflect that, to give older horses a better chance?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an interesting point. Right, any other bets on the Friday?
So in terms of making money, back the novices.
Back novices in handicaps before Patrick changes the whole system.
Yeah, don't mind the system, just make a few quid. Canardier may be worth a small bet in the Martin Pipe. It got rated today 141, Irish rating 137. It's a novice. It bolted up in Cheltenham last back end. It beat another one who won a grade 3 the other day. Definitely stays, travels fantastic. Likes good ground, so Canardier for something small in the Martin Pipe.
Good stuff. Anything else? Yeah,
Yeah,
Richie?
just a couple caught the eye. I don't know whether he'll run it. Patrick probably won't be able to confirm either. Saglawi in the county I thought was interesting. He was third.
Well.
Yeah, that's a start. That's always good.
Yeah.
He was third to Wonderlash at Ferry House and third to Espardalen and Stormy Island at Limerick. Good bits of form. And county might be run to suit. He's a bit keen. They'll go strong gallop and he might finish strongly. The other one I thought was interesting was Shantou Flyer and the Fox Hunters. Last year he was beaten a neck by Q-Star Sibilla off 153 in the Ultima. He's after winning his last 2 Fox Hunters to qualify just this month actually, and I think he'd be an interesting prospect in a Fox Hunters.
Good stuff. Andy? Friday?
Fairly unoriginal really. The County Hurdle and the Grand Annual look 2 banana skin races to avoid at the moment until you see the final decks in the ground, but it's interesting that the Martin Pike race often goes to a class act. Usually looking at a horse great. Kilter Vic, Don Polly. It's a race that obviously Gigginstown like. They won it last year. Gordon Elliott with blow for blow.
Proves Patrick's point about
exactly. Yeah. So I mean the one that ticks the box like I say, it's unoriginal. Is Dallas to Picton.
Yeah.
He was on the up. He won a slowly run event at Leopardstown, but he was good the time before, and he got a fast run race as well. So he's got a bit of both. He can quicken off a slow pace. He's got a good cruising speed for a strongly run one. I'd imagine that he'd be one of the best backed horses on the 4th day.
Good stuff. Right, we're going to wrap up now with our best bets of the week, and we're going to Nicholas going to give us some charity bets as well that are going to go to the Punchestown Kidney Research Fund, because she's kindly given it to me because I'm riding the charity race at Punchestown. So Nicola has kindly donated these charity bets for that, so really appreciate that. Just before you, most vulnerable favourite of the week, by the way, I'd say to ask Andy and Gavin.
Yeah.
Who do you think?
Because of his stats against him in the Ballymore Champ, I think he's a relatively short price up against a few decent horses there. So he'd more on my lay of the week.
Yeah, yeah. Richie, would you have a favourite you think is particularly vulnerable?
Lost in translation, I would be swerving clear of.
Anything for you, Patrick? Do you think he just maybe represents no value at the top of the market?
That's vulnerable.
Belvedere, of course, because Arena's going to hock him, remember?
Nothing sticks out to me.
Nothing sticks out. Fair enough. Gavin, anything for you? Maybe off the stats?
In the Ballymore, Champ, Battle Over Diane, City Island. There you go.
No, they're all.
Yeah.
No chance.
And Andy was saying Paisley Park's one we see the traders want to take on, which
Okay.
you think is madness.
That's fair.
Well,
That's fair.
time will tell.
With time will tell. All right, our competition winner, well done to Kerry Downs, who sent the question in on Twitter. So gets those 2 tickets to the Gold Cup, obviously the Cheltenham Betting Guide, and as well that year's ultimate membership to the Racing Post. Right, your charity bet for the week. What is your charity bet? And then give us an each way alternative as well. But your charity bet. No, a single. You thief. Single. One horse. Single. Don't be a thief.
I'm being kind here,
Yeah.
giving
Are
you
you
this
giving
charity
us,
bet. I want you to keep me. I don't want to lose my job.
What's the bet? How much is it?
50
50
quid,
quid.
so you can go
Oh,
each
give
way
us
or
250s.
single.
Because I want to pick Classical
No, you're just
Dream
going to have to make
or
up your
Delta Work.
mind.
Delta Work.
Right.
Delta Work, RSA. Okie doke. Nicola. Are
I'm
you-
not.
Oh,
I
okay, right.
wasn't gonna
Patrick,
take-
charity bet for the week. So I don't have to
Play it safe, Benny de Jeu.
Benny Deja. Very good. Richie?
Gavin's gone for Delta Work, so I'll go with City Island at 10s.
City Island at 10s.
Well, Paisley Park is my nap of the week, as everyone said. But being as it's for charity, we want to try and win as much money as we can. We'll go for a bigger price. We'll go for Liz Nagar Oscar in the Albert Bartlett. I think 7-1 at the moment.
Good
8
stuff.
to 1.
8? Can I
8?
take 8-1? Or is it extra?
No, just my charity. Listen, thanks a million to all of our guests, to Gavin Lynch, Nicola McGeady, Patrick Mullins, Richie Forrester, Andy Holding as well. It's been absolutely brilliant. Our producer Barbara, thank you so much for tuning in here to What's the Word Live in association with Ladbrokes, and hopefully we'll provide you with lots of winners as well.
There was actually a problem.